After months of quarantine, we're all interested in how we can become our best self. The team at Permanent Makeup and Cryo is here to help you get the flawless makeup look every day without the extra effort or time. When it comes to your appearance, you deserve the best care that money can buy.
It's time to crown a champion in the Outlaws Sim Series once again. 10 months of grueling work all comes down to this. Who has prepared the best piece one last time? Tonight, Scott Bailey, Jonathan Jennings, Max Service, and Seth Berger have 300 laps at this high-speed 3/4 mile to decide who wins it all. A thrilling conclusion to this 36 race Outlaws Sim Series season is coming up next on Pit Stop TV. Good evening all, and welcome to the virtual Richmond, Virginia. Andrew Cardinale IV joins me alongside for the call and the production this evening. And Andrew, 10 months, 38 race weeks, and 35 of those for points. And it all comes down to this, a 300 lap duel at Richmond to settle the score.
That it does. Emerson, thanks for having me. This is this is it, and definitely, I think, overweighted in a couple of ways. We expected this finale a few weeks ago, then last week, and well, here we are, December 21st, the winter solstice, the shortest day of the year, one of the longest races of these drivers' seasons, if not the longest. 300 laps around this 3/4 mile D-shaped oval is going to be a long time for these guys to figure out who is the champion this season. Here you go. The track map for the final time this season, brought to you by Whiplash Media Sim Cams.
Absolutely, and this D-shaped oval, again, it provides a lot of challenges. All of these corners you take very differently. The entrance into turn 1, much different than the entrance into turn 3. The exit of turn 2, much tighter than the exit of turn 4. But turn 4 tends to get a little loose, and there's so much that comes into play when you're talking about Richmond Raceway. You want to get a great turn 4, of course, at a crucial exit on the long curved front straightaway. Pit road is very difficult to get onto if you don't time your transition right with these next gen cars. And there's not a whole lot of room for error if something were to happen on the back straightaway. Not a whole lot of room to get past.
Yeah, room definitely at a minimum here at Richmond. And I like that you mentioned turn 4, but also turn 2, two very, big, loose areas on the racetrack, if you will. Two spots where really we could call them DW's Calamity Corners. Both at corner exits here at Richmond tend to be very, very difficult on stock cars, especially higher powered stock cars. This next gen car is a little bit away from the high power low downforce we had a few years ago, but still a lot of power to the rear wheels and just not enough grip usually to be able to handle it. And you will usually see a lot of black marks at a turn 4. We see fewer black marks, it looks like, this evening. So it looks like these guys are relatively in a good spot with these setups this evening, which is exciting, actually. We should have some really good racing throughout the entire field.
Absolutely. And well, here it is, Andrew. The championship standings one last time. Of course, the 4 drivers I mentioned at the top of the show, Jonathan Jennings, Max Service, Seth Berger, and Scott Bailey, they're all tied at 5,000 apiece. And stages are a thing tonight, but not for those 4 drivers. Those 4, it is first to the finish line on lap 300 who will win the championship. For everyone else, it says that they're out, but effectively for between 5th and 16th, that is still a battle for points positions. Now, not mathematically, I think only Fitzpatrick and Schumacher are the only realistic drivers who can go for 5th, but stage points will count for them in their battle for 5th in points.
And with points in mind, well, they aren't really in mind for our championship. Let's take a look at practice times. This is where we get an idea of who's going to be fast this evening. And, of course, we know Jonathan Jennings has to be your favorite coming into the evening. But look at the practice charts. Car number 81 with a very successful paint scheme here at Richmond back in the day. It's quick. Max Service on top of the charts with Jonathan Jennings second, which is really no surprise that he would be towards the top. I did, though, expect him to be first, honestly. This is a little bit staggering to me to see the 81 above the 91 on the speed charts, and as well to see Scott Bailey, 4th place, Emerson, 4th quick.
Yeah, Scott has really turned up the wick here. He says, even though he was not one of the drivers that you would have wrote into the championship for at the beginning of the season or even through the season, he says, I'm here and I'm here for a reason. He is ready to go and he wants to go for this title, and he has his fair shot at this title just like the other 3.
And of course, then you have Seth Berger as well. I think everybody is really on relatively even footing. I think definitely just based on practice times, you have 2 clear favorites of Service and Jennings. I will say it's a little bit weird to see Seth Berger this far down the practice order, honestly, at least compared to his competitors for the championship. To see him 7th, 3 spots behind Scott Bailey, and even more behind the other 2 is a little bit odd, a little bit weird, but hopefully he turns things around in the race, and we could still see anything happen in this race. 300 laps is a long time. All it takes is one weird corner exit, and everything changes, so really anything could change. We have our favorites, but we've just got to wait and see. As we say so often, we've just got to sit back and kind of watch this race unfold. That's kind of how things end up happening with the Outlaws Sim Series. But Emerson, as we always do, there's some drivers to talk to, and it sounds like we've got a couple of good ones.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we should get things started with the driver I think a lot of people said was the favorite coming into this race and throughout most of the middle and late portion here of the season, the 5-time race winner in the 91 for Last Chance Racing with 22 top 5s, 28 top 10s out of Spartanburg, South Carolina. We're going to bring on up driver of the number 91, Jonathan Jennings. And Jonathan, it all comes down to this, a short track, which has seemed to be your bread and butter this season. You're right now second on the practice charts. How do you feel?
All right. It's just another race. With some guys I haven't seen in a while, but we'll get it.
And now this race, it is right now, it kind of like at dusk and sunset, and it's going to go into nighttime. Are you prepared to make adjustments, or is your setup ready to encounter that day to night transition? How do you feel about that?
I got some adjustments ready in case I need them, but it should be ready for it. But we'll see. It's just a long race, and I'm trying to make it through it. A little bit of stomach bug going on, so.
Well, of course, I know that would add to the battle. So hoping for you to get better in that regard as well. But at the end of 300 laps, if it were to be you to cross the line first of the championship 4, what would that mean to you?
To be honest, it wouldn't really mean nothing. I'd rather win it than anything, or win the race. This crowning a champion off one race ain't really my idea of champion. So
Well, fair
I've
enough.
I've had fun all year, and that's what it's about. So, as long as I get race clean, I'm happy.
Well, there you are. The 5-time race winner this season, Jonathan Jennings. Congratulations on making it to this point, Jonathan, and best luck to you tonight.
Thank you.
There was driver of the number 91 out of Last Chance Racing. And he's voiced his opinion on the format. And I still expect him to be very competitive tonight and have his fair shot. I still think the drivers who could win this title over, the course of a season, I think they still have, a great chance at it.
Everybody's got an even chance. What we've said, multiple times, and you could take the format or leave it. I suppose it's here to stay in NASCAR. It's not going anywhere. I think it's exciting. I think it provides a shootout style format, race like we have this evening. And when you dig into a short track like this, Emerson, I think it enhances the format. Honestly, I think it actually livens up the format even more so and gives us a better overall way to sort this out because everything is closer. Everything is more in a stadium kind of feel, and I love Homestead as much as the next guy, but I think when NASCAR was taking the championship to Homestead, it was a little bit too big almost of a racetrack, and I think even Phoenix is a little too big. Obviously, it's difficult to race in Virginia in early November. It gets a little bit chilly, so maybe the short tracks that we have in Virginia, be it Richmond, Martinsville, even Tennessee, even Bristol, not far away in Tennessee. There we go. Maybe off the list, but maybe we need another short track somewhere warmer. Maybe somewhere down in Florida. There's New Smyrna. There's Five Flags. But I think this short track kind of thing enhances this format in general. This Final Four kind of idea is a lot of fun. It's exciting, and it gives us this kind of Game 7 moment that we always want. And now we get to see Max Service and Jonathan Jennings and Scott Bailey and Seth Berger go straight up. 300 laps, settle it.
Absolutely, Andrew. I agree. There's a bunch of pros and cons to this format. And another part of that is it kind of gives this driver a sense of accomplishment to this point. This driver has made all 3 championship 4s in the Outlaws Sim Series to date. This driver, of course, has 3 wins on the season with 18 top 5s and 22 top 10s out of Elmhurst, Illinois. It's driver of the number 77 Burgarts Chevrolet for Swift Racing. It is Seth Berger. And we'll bring him on up. Driver of the number 77, Seth. Right now, a little lower on the practice charts than I imagine you'd want to be. But it's a long race. It's going to go through a day-to-night transition. How do you feel about your chances?
I don't know, honestly. I feel a 50-50. I would like to be faster, but at the same time, it is one of my weakest tracks on the schedule. And, of course, it had to be the championship race. But, yeah, the setup feels good. I think I'm just going to have to change up my driving style. I got new pedals, and I think it's helping me, but at the same time, they're still new pedals, so I'm still getting used to them. I think I could be better, but really just looking to make it entertaining. I want to represent well and make sure whoever wins the championship earns it.
Absolutely. And let's talk about the piece you brought to the track today. It is, of course, based off Jeff Gordon's final ride, and it looks pretty sleek at that. What's the reasoning? Why? What was, I guess, the inspiration to bring that paint to life and run it tonight?
I need a little bit of luck on my side tonight, and I need a little bit of a Jeff Gordon in me tonight. I need some of his dominance to help me compete. So I got his number font, and this is one of my favorite paint schemes. So I thought it was an easy choice to pick this one, and maybe it'll bring a little good luck to my side. But if you guys comment #BurgerNation in the comments during the race, and I win the championship, you guys will be entered to win a hand-painted hat that will resemble this car.
Well, there you go. If you're out in chat or you're watching, go ahead and type #BurgerNation. I'm sure Seth will check the chat, and you might get a custom painted hat from Berg Arts. And now, Seth, if it were to be you at the end of 300 laps to win the title tonight and get your second Outlaws Sim Series title, what would that mean to you?
It would mean a lot considering the last 3 final appearances I've had in other leagues. I finished second, so it would also make up for last season losing in the final corner. But like I said, I just want to represent well. I don't have any high expectations. I'm just trying to keep it calm, humble, not make any big mistakes.
Well, there you are. Driver of the number 77, Seth Berger, and Berger Nation, I'm sure, will be rooting hard for you tonight. Congratulations to making it to your 3rd consecutive championship 4 here in the Outlaws Sim Series, Seth, and best luck to you.
Thank you, and Berger Nation rise one more time.
There you go, driver of the number 77, Seth Berger, and I'm sure he has a lot of weight on his shoulders to perform, but this is a spot. He mentioned himself in the interview, Andrew. He's been here several times in the Championship 4 scenario. I'm sure he's ready for the pressure of it. So we'll go ahead and we'll bring on up driver of the number 81 in Max Service. This driver, of course, with 4 wins on the season, 21 top 5s, 28 top 10s out of Truro, Nova Scotia, Canada. Gonna go ahead and bring on up driver then of the number 81, Max Service. And Max, here you are. You made it to the Championship 4. You got yourself another shot at one of these bad boys. How do you feel?
A little bit better than last time. Unfortunately, we're a little bit under the weather this week. Had my power out last week. Thank God everybody postponed for me. Yeah, hopefully we can go win. Not too sure about the car. It feels good. Hopefully it races good.
It certainly looks pretty sporty atop the charts, and of course, I don't think anyone wanted the scenario where the race would be postponed for the extra week, and of course you especially, because you were the one affected that we pushed the race back. But did that extra week give you any more time to work on the setup? Did it help you perfect a setup for tonight's race?
No, not really. Unfortunately, everything with the race getting postponed, everything that happened to be going on also got postponed, so I've been incredibly busy this whole week. Haven't really had a lot of time to work on it, so pretty much everything that we've done to this car has been today.
Well, there you are. And Max, if it were to be you, the first one to the line at the end of 300 laps tonight, what would that mean to you in what would be your first Outlaw Sim Series championship?
It certainly mean a lot. I mean, all these guys are really good over here. There's a lot of respect, and I don't know. I don't really know what to think. Well, I guess maybe we'll find it in 300 laps.
Well, there you are, the regular season champ with 4 wins on the season, Max Service, top of the charts here in practice. Congratulations on making the championship 4, Max, and best of luck to you tonight.
Yes, sir. We're gonna go try and win tonight.
And that's what you like to hear. That is driver of the number 81, Max Service. Again, out of Swift Racing, kind of the reason why it's named Swift Racing, with of course Taylor Swift on the car each and every week. And Andrew, we're going to bring one last driver, of course, of the Championship 4 into the mix. A driver who won his way into the Championship 4 to get to this point. Scott Bailey, of course, the 1 win, 6 top 5s, and 14 top 10s. Out of Allendale, Michigan. We'll go ahead and bring him on up. Scott Bailey. Scott, up to second on the practice charts. How do you feel about your chances tonight?
It's going to be tight. I mean, look at the times, and everybody's fast, so it's going to be fun. I'm ready for it. I think we've had plenty of time to prepare. Got plenty of laps in here on my setup, so I'm looking forward to it. I think all 4 of us got a pretty even shot.
Absolutely. And I mean, I don't know how much. I guess that would be your answer. It took you a long time to finally get that win in the Outlaw Sim Series, and I know it happened at Atlanta. But did that change something in you? Did that give you another sense of that you're here and you can compete just like anyone else in this series, or did you always kind of have a confidence when it comes to maybe winning the title?
I mean, coming into the year, my goals were make playoffs, win a race, and then be able to compete for a championship. So I've met my goals, and I think I've gotten a lot faster throughout the year. So getting that win late, it makes sense just because I've put a lot more time into these cars second half of the season. So yeah, it kind of validates it. But again, it's Atlanta. It's a plate track essentially. So I understand that, and I still want to get a win on a short track, get a win on a mile and a half. So yeah, it gives me a little confidence, but I'm still not overconfident.
Well, if it were to be you, first one to line, I know we're in the qualifying, so we'll make it quick. But if it were to be you, the first one to the line at the end of 300 laps, of the championship 4, what would that mean to you?
It'd be awesome. I mean, I know we're out here for fun. There's no money on the line or anything. It's bragging rights, but we put a lot of time, a lot of effort in throughout the season, practicing, getting ready for races. Spending a couple hours a night, during race night, on here with everybody. So it's been a blast, and there would be no better way to cap it off than with a championship.
Well, there you are. Driver of the number 11, Scott Bailey, who won his way into this race. Scott, congratulations on making it to the championship 4, and best of luck to you tonight.
Yeah, appreciate it, guys. Thanks for a long season. You guys done a great job.
There it is, driver of the number 11 out of Last Chance Racing. And Andrew, it took a minute for us to even get cars on track and qualifying, but we do have Jonathan Jennings. And everyone's here, like Scott said, not really any money on the line. It's just for bragging rights. And it seems like these guys, they've just had a lot of fun doing it this season.
Well, and that's exactly what you want, Emerson, is we're on board with Jonathan Jennings for his qualifying run. First lap, of course, considering it is the first lap on track, is purple. And we can look around the dash a little bit and kind of get an idea just what it's like for these guys in the car. There is a hose maybe right there in the way. But there you go. You can kind of see the driver a little bit. And Jonathan Jennings up out of turn 4 as he comes to the start-finish line. Lap 2, it's a 22.092. A 29 here would be a little bit off pace, but Jonathan Jennings will go to pole currently as a few more cars at the track.
And there is driver of the number 88, Joseph Kazi, making his 10th Outlaws Sim Series start this season. He took a lot of time off. He became an iRacing alpha tester, but unfortunately that clogged up his Wednesday nights. But tonight, he's available to race, and he's here to maybe play a little bit of a spoiler. How about the 11 of Scott Bailey, who's gone second quickest?
Scott Bailey. This is really cool to see him this quick. This is not at all, I think, what anybody expected, but it's not at all either outside of the realm of possibilities as we've seen this season. He's been there, just maybe a few spots further south, and as he mentioned, he got faster as the season went on. And fast this evening, his team clearly put together a good piece, but he puts it on the wall there on turn 4, and that's his qualifying run done. But he's still P2 currently, ahead of guys like Jonathan Jennings, and how about Adrian Schumacher as well?
Yep, the 82 of Adrian Schumacher. Nice little paint there for Lakeside, and he put the 4th quickest right now, and I believe that's going to wrap up his qualifying run. Powell has raced out to the pit lane, and there's the driver who sits 5th in the point standings, and Seth Fitzpatrick.
Fitzpatrick begins lap number 1 up at a turn 2, a bit of a bobble. You saw him point towards the outside wall for just a moment. Now into turn number 3, down below that dotted line. And up at a turn 4, these drivers are driving with an egg underneath that gas pedal. Gets under the throttle, though. 22.051, that's quick. It's second quick, in fact, right ahead of Scott Bailey. I knew that sounded like it was towards the front. It is just about a quarter of a tenth off of pole currently to Joseph Kazi. Into turns 3 and 4, and the Hooters number 2 up out of the 4th corner. Can he go any faster? Can he pick up just enough for pole? Bobble again to the line. He might have got there, but no. Looks like he's just a little bit too slow.
And that'll be second quickest 4 of a 2 machine, and we still have both Swift Racing entries into the Championship 4 yet to qualify. And Andrew, with it being a day-to-night transition race, I believe the track is going to get cooler over the course of the 10 minutes, and that may be what these guys are watching for. And How about this? The number 7, Joshua Balliet, who won last week for his first time in 2 years in the Outlaws Sim Series competition. Of course, he was part race control and was also part-time for.
Whoa, that's not what you want to do.
But the newest addition to Frontline Esports will go around there in turn 1.
While he resets and gets back on track, Max Service is getting on track for his first time. And the Berg Arts, number 81, will head on out. Let's watch here what Max does. Fastest in practice, held that position for just about the entire session. Up to the outside wall. This is coming to lap 1. Gets that arc down at a turn 4. Gets some longer line, a longer run up to the start finish. That's more momentum down the front straightaway into turn number 1. Stays in 4th gear, pops the chip, and right down on that yellow line. Max Service, a nice clean 1 and 2.
Absolutely, and popping that chip down the front straightaway and even a little bit there, it gets the car to rotate a little bit. With all the added RPM to kind of rotate the rear tires around. Max, I'm sure, he's dealt with that all season. He goes 3rd quickest on lap 1, but with the NextGen car, you typically get faster over the course of a couple laps.
Here's Seth Berger, first time lap for him, and yeah, that second lap tends to be where you get your money. Sometimes it's the first lap, depends on the racetrack, as Berger puts down a 22:13. That is good enough, it looks like, for 7th. Here's Service, and second lap abandoned. He will start no better than 3rd, but Seth Berger out of turn number 2. Into turn 3, let's see if he's got anything for the second lap. It seems like the first lap will be the lap record for a lot of drivers, as Joshua Balliet goes 6th. Seth Berger to the line, goes no. Oh, he does go faster. Picks up a good bit, actually. Goes 5th quick ahead of Jonathan Jennings. So, Emerson, our favorite into this championship race, is starting last of the final 4.
Wow. That is, again, not what we expected. And we still have, a 300 lap race to go, but this track is going to undergo a lot of changes. So, again, it's also going to be who can keep up with the track the best. As well as bringing just a good piece overall. It's just going to be intriguing. The track is already pretty cool.
It's a warm race
as it is. Oh well, yeah, air temp at 81 degrees.
This is a warm race, frankly, especially on the winter solstice. 82 degrees in the air. That is definitely not reality as far as what day it actually is. But a warm day, perfectly plausible for maybe May. Maybe September. That is, you know what? 81, 82 sounds nice right now. Just to thaw out a little bit, then get back cold for Christmas. I wouldn't mind that, although I'd probably get sick. But that is warm. 84 degrees even, as there's no sunlight on the track. That's still pretty toasty.
Yeah, absolutely. Max was able to get out there for one more lap. He runs 5 1,000ths slower than his best, so he'll stay 3rd.
Yeah, I forgot. You guys, we get 3 laps in the Outlaws Sim Series. I did forget that part. But Berger went no faster. He stays at that 5th place at a 22:076, and Service, as you mentioned, goes nowhere really. Jeremiah Stutzman, somebody that we had a lot of hope for going into Homestead a few weeks back, is on track.
Yeah, talk about a disastrous round of 8 for the 3-time winner of this season, and Jeremiah Stutzman, a driver who made the championship for last season when we ran the trucks with the open setups last season. And Jeremiah had a great stint in the middle of the season. In 4 weeks, won 3 races to kind of elevate himself into that, top 6, that big 6 we referenced all throughout the season. And here he is. Unfortunately, he's going to have to settle for, I believe, somewhere 7th in points right now in his battle with Jacob Reeves. And his first qualifying lap will put him 8th quickest.
And unfortunately, lap 2 is it for Stutzman. He might be able to right things for lap 3. Let's see what he does. He's going to continue with it as he popped the wall there at turn number 2. It seems like these guys might actually be trending a little bit snug out of the 2nd corner, but still loose out of the 4th. It'll be interesting to watch, actually, if that's kind of a trend that we see, Emerson. If these guys are a little bit tight out of turn 2, if they push a little bit and then stay free out of 4.
Yeah, and, with these sets, right, a lot of these guys, maybe they'll buy a set from somewhere and they'll adjust on it. Some do build from scratch, but it's really hard to really find one of those. And a lot of these sets people can be getting for day races, and they're trying to make it into a nighttime setup and maybe overcompensate for that. And sometimes that can come about here in qualifying, and that'll do it for Stutzman. I believe that no one else is going to take to the track, so that should wrap up quali.
Looks like that'll do it for the final qualifying session on the season, and the final Pratt, Tile, and Stone Pole Award will go to Joseph Kazi in his first start since, whereabout was it on the schedule, Emerson?
Well, I think it was like Rockingham or Watkins Glen his last time out, so
wow,
let's call it 25 races ago.
And here you can see the entire schedule from this season. The only race omitted here is the All-Star race at Kansas that was held between Nashville Superspeedway and Daytona Road back in September, I believe it was. That's the only race that is missing from this list. Otherwise, you see every single race here that was run this season, and boy, did it run on a little bit. But fantastic races. Fantastic races all season long, all 36 of them. And yeah, boy, this has definitely been a NASCAR-feeling season, and that it has gone on the entire year of 2022. We've had fantastic racing. I mean, Daytona, Canadian Tire, Auto Club, Nashville, the fairgrounds, that is, then Atlanta, Indianapolis, Chicagoland, Iowa, Talladega, Bristol Dirt, Rockingham, Watkins Glen. I'm going to keep going. Martinsville, IRP, Texas, the iRacing Superspeedway, New Hampshire, Michigan, Eldora, Daytona again. How about Laguna Seca, Pocono, Phoenix, and Charlotte, Bristol, even Nashville Superspeedway. Then in the playoffs, Daytona Road, Milwaukee, the Roval, USA International at Lakeland. You've got Talladega and Darlington, then Homestead, Miami, the new Atlanta, North Wilkesboro, and now Richmond Raceway for the finale. 36 races, that's a lot, and it all comes down to these next 300 laps.
Absolutely, the gauntlet, if you will. We ran about every track type you could think of. Maybe we're missing a street course on there. That's about it. And these guys, they battle tooth and nail for it. And the championship for this season, they had to really earn it. They got to this point, battling through all these different track types, and here we are at Richmond for a 300-lap duel here in Virginia. But our starting lineup, Andrew.
On pole, Joseph Kazi in car 88. Seth Fitzpatrick will start from the second spot. Fitzpatrick eliminated after the round of 8. But he's on the front row for the final race of the season. How about that? Though starting from third, it is maybe our new favorite, Max Service in car 81, with Scott Bailey, the Atlanta Motor Speedway race winner, starting from fourth. Starting fifth, the other half, or I guess in row 3, the other half of our championship this evening, Seth Berger and Jonathan Jennings. This feels almost like reverse order. Jonathan Jennings at the very back of these 4 drivers that are starting 2 rows apiece here. This is a really interesting setup for the start of this one. Starting from the 7th position, Emerson, for the final driver, the top half of the field, is Joshua Malliette.
And alongside of him, Jeremiah Stutzman, who was eliminated after the round of 8. Back to row number 5, we'll find also the 82 of Adrian Schumacher, who fought tooth and nail, but he also was eliminated last round as well. Kevin Powell will round out the top 10. 11th place will have the 17 of Reese Schaefer, a 2-time winner on the season, looking for a third, and the 12 of Andrew St. Coeur to round out row 6, and starting shotgun on the field will be the 95 of Devin Smith.
So it looks like 13 cars in all, and Joseph Kazi is leading them all to the green this evening. Let's take a look once more at weather conditions. The track temp coming down just a little bit, as the air temp has as well. So we're trending to a bit of a cooler race, but winds still pretty gusty at 9 miles per hour out of the west, currently moving around a little bit, and we'll monitor that as the evening goes on. Joseph Kazi brings the field into turns 3 and 4. The iRacing.com pace vehicle will dip down to the inside and to pit lane, and we have got 300 laps to settle it here in Richmond, Virginia. Green flag in the final race of the season. Side by side already on lap 1. Kazi is going to lead it, but Service takes the jump off of lap 1 and gets to the inside of Fitzpatrick quickly. That brings Berger with him. And now Bailey sits in the 4th position out of, 5th position. There we go. 3rd out of the championship runners.
Yeah, Bailey fell back behind Seth Berger. Great start on the inside line. I'm sure Kazi was able to assist with that Balliet doing some great work if you're into a Swift Racing stable, trying to keep Jonathan Jennings from getting unleashed here in the early running. Max Service with the purple lap, and Jennings back to 7th behind Balliet.
This is frustrating for Jonathan Jennings. He's looking at the back end of a car that does not matter to his championship season, but at the same time, Emerson, this is any other race, like he said, right? Pace yourself. 300 laps. You've still got 297 of them to go. Only 3 laps complete.
Absolutely. And again, there's a whole lot that can happen. I'm sure Jennings, because of he is the most winningest driver in the season, I'm sure he's not even panicking right now. He does want to, of course, keep in touch with the championship 4, but I'm sure this is not really spoiling any plans for Jennings at the moment.
And I highly doubt this will be indicative of the run that he has this evening. I highly doubt it'll be indicative of the speed he has this evening. So this is not much of a concern at all for the number 91 just yet. We'll wait and see how this run plays out, how the tires age, and how he's able to do after about 20, maybe even 40 laps, maybe even 60 laps as these guys go on a long green run potentially here at Richmond Raceway. It's certainly possible, and it would not be surprising as these two get close. Fitzpatrick not in the championship picture, Service leading it.
Yeah, and I guess I forgot to mention at the top of the show, our stages tonight, 60 and 135. And really, that really only affects drivers like Fitzpatrick, Adrian Schumacher, Jeremiah Stutzman, and Kevin Powell. Drivers who kind of ran the whole season and want to improve their positioning and points. Here's Fitzpatrick, though, on Max. Battle for the 2nd position in race, but does not necessarily affect the title.
Side by side, and Fitzpatrick will take that spot away. Max Service allows him to have it, as now Seth Berger battling a little bit with Scott Bailey. These 3 up front of the championship battle are going after it, and Fitzpatrick is just kind of in the middle for spoilers, and man, these 3 are all very close now.
Absolutely, and it's going to be, I'm really watching to see how well these drivers pace themselves. It can be very enticing right now, early in the race, to think you have a spot that you can get just right in front of you. But with that, you start getting in your head. You start overdriving a little bit. You have to really be disciplined and pace yourself to not burn up your tires, to give yourself a chance. Because more than likely, Andrew, we are going to get a long green flag run. And you want to have tires for the entire duration of it.
I feel like we're watching a bit out of the Cars movie, honestly, where you've got 3 championship competitors all on top of one another at the top of the show. And, of course, this is going to change, and Jonathan Jennings likely will run back up on these guys. He's dealing with Balliet for now. But this just feels so much like that, doesn't it? Where you've even got 1 red car, 1 silver car, 1 blue car, kind of 3 different colors. They're just each different parts of this. I don't know. It's just got some kind of movie feeling to it as we complete lap number 10 of 300. And we're starting to see them search a little bit as well. Different entries to the corner there.
Yeah, Seth, he's tucked up right behind Max, so he's probably trying to get a little clean air to the nose, but you don't want to do that too much, because you could allow the door to be open to Scott Bailey, who definitely peeked his nose down in turn 1, wasn't able to do much with it.
On board here with Seth Berger, as it looks like we may even have a battle for the race lead soon, Emerson. Joseph Kazi starting to be caught by Seth Fitzpatrick, as Jennings now gets to the inside and past the number 7 of Balliet. That's 1 spot that Jennings really needed, I think, to get early as well. Do not want to sit behind that 7 car for very long as our leaders start to go toe-to-toe.
Yeah, and here we go again. No bearing on the championship battle, but there's still a race to be run and a race to be won here between Joseph Kazi and Seth Fitzpatrick in the early going. Kazi trying to, establish that he is still a dominant force in this Outlaws Sim Series when he shows up, and Fitzpatrick trying to go toe-to-toe with one of the best in the series.
Fitzpatrick a little higher that time in 1 and 2. Loses some time through the corner. Let's see if he gains it back, though, on the straightaway. Not really. So searching a little bit early. This is what we like to see, though. We like to see when drivers are able to have a bit of variation in line. There's more than one line you can hit, more than one way to run the corner. And so far, Fitzpatrick searching a bit more than Kazi. He's staying right down on that yellow line. And I don't know if this is aero or just searching for mechanical grip, really. We could be dealing with a little bit of aero wash for Fitzpatrick, but I think really, and actually now, Kazi at the racetrack that time in 3, a little bit of a higher line and a bobble out of 4s, so maybe they are moving around, both of them.
Yeah, and we're getting to the point now where your tire should be up to race temp for sure. You're trying to feel out the setup now. If you have a longer in setup, that may just start to be ignited here. I'm not really sure what what pieces we have yet, and I guess that's something we're going to find out over the course of the race. But both of them searching and looking like they're struggling, but they're at the front of the field, so I guess not struggling too much.
Fitzpatrick slowly pushing on the outside of the 88. It looked like maybe he had to go that time on the outside of 1 and 2. Maybe that's where he feels stronger as Kazi pulls the lead once more in 3 and 4. This is interesting, and I think this battle is worth watching even this early in the race because the championship drivers, of course, they want to win. They don't have to win. They've only got to race each other, but they want to win this race, and if they are gonna actually win this race, they have to do it through one of these two, it looks like.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, I mean, not that it brings, I guess, too much, but I'd imagine these guys, they're running the same or very similar setups to their championship counterparts on their same team. So, this could be also, information gathering and, maybe just some motivation if you are, a teammate in the same Discord channel. Maybe there's something to be learned. But loose there's the 88 of Kazi. Here comes Fitzpatrick.
Fitzpatrick up top. And no pass made yet. I'm not sure Fitzpatrick, he will stay on the outside this time down the back straightaway. They stay side by side. And now Fitzpatrick going to have to give that position up. Or at least give that run up. Here he goes to the inside.
Brilliant job to get to the inside of the 88, but can he use it now that he has that inside line? Kazi surges ahead on the outside.
Side by side to turn 3, car 2 on the inside. Fitzpatrick on that preferred inside line to at least try to make the pass. Slides up though in the center of the corner, and here come our championship 4 closing in as our top 2 start to battle after 20 laps of racing here at Richmond Raceway. And single file once more between these two as Fitzpatrick has to give up the goose there. I think he realized very quickly the door he was opening to everybody else behind him. And quite frankly, if they want to win this race, if Kazi or Fitzpatrick wants to win this race, why not try and run back away from these guys like you just did, but put an extra second or 2 between them and then start the battle. Get some running room and then do this.
More than anything, this is just kind of going to jumble up the championship 4 running because they're going to come up on these guys. And if they do have the same pace or similar pace, they're going to start to maybe stack up. They have to start searching for cleaner air. Not that the air was clean, but now you're going to be tucked up right behind somebody. You really got to search now. And, maybe somebody like Scott Bailey can take advantage of that. Jennings is coming back. And, well, really, Andrew, you have now 7 cars nose to tail. 6 cars.
Throw that back even to Adrian Schumacher. Right? Make it 8 cars. They're really not far apart through the top 8. And as they go by the speed shot this time, you'll see that. They are very, very close together all the way through 8th position. Even the 71 of Stutzman is not far back. You only find separation to Reese Schaefer in 10th position.
Yeah, Reese back there battling with Kevin Powell. That's for the last spot in the top 10, but here we are, everyone all lined up, nearly equidistant with one another. Berger searches a little up high, maybe pushes a little tight behind teammate Max Service, and this is the part where mind games come into play. How for yourself and for your competitors, how hard do you push it, how hard do you pressure a competitor, and here comes Jennings on his teammate.
Well, I think we just found out, Emerson, how you race each other. You go and get spots whenever you feel like you need to. Is it actually Jennings very loose up out of turn 4 that time. Even Bailey a little bit loose at a turn 1. But we're learning a little bit as this race starts to go on and as these laps wind. I say wind down. Really, could we say wind up to halfway and then wind down from 150 to 300? We're still so early in this one, but we are learning as this race goes on.
Absolutely, and I think, Jennings learned a little bit there. Maybe, a little too happy on the gas pedal there on exit. And you noticed, as soon as he caught the car, he came right back up to cover off the 7 of Balliet. Devin Smith, an early unscheduled stop.
We've seen this a lot out of Devin Smith this season. He may be done for the evening from the 13th spot. That would leave us with 12 cars running as Well, Jennings' attempt was kind of short-lived as he now sits back behind Scott Bailey by a good little bit. 4th place out of these championship 4. This is, again, not at all where we expected to see him at this point in this championship 4 race, especially being a short track, especially being that he's got the most wins, especially being that he's just, in general, the top driver into this race as well. I tried to go and talk about the championship 4, and here we go, a battle for the race lead.
Fitzpatrick, he is there. Can't roll to center. Kazi defends up high. Sideways is the 2, and here comes Service.
Max Service fills the gap up top as Fitzpatrick goes for the bottom. Now side-by-side still make it for 3 cars as they're staggered a little bit down the front straightaway. And into turn 1, Fitzpatrick sends it up the inside, nearly gets his nose ahead of Kazi for a moment. Kazi a bit loose out of turn 2. We've got a proper race as even Bailey and Jennings will battle behind.
And what do you do if you're the 2 competitors behind? They're teammates, but it looks like Steph wants to get to the outside. Max has a run. If he was desperate enough, he could send it 3, but big picture, he stays behind and is still side by side for the lead.
Scott Bailey falls back behind Jennings. Now Balliet will pass him. As up front, that was maybe some door-to-door contact in a turn 2 between Kazi and Fitzpatrick, and Service just wants to go by both.
And the thing is, with them racing right in front of the championship 4, you don't want to get caught up in any mess should something transpire amongst the top 2. And now Kazi, I think he's going to start to give way here. Or at least he's going to run up that middle lane. I think Max is going to get down to the bottom, and I think Kazi's going to play nice.
Fitzpatrick takes the race lead. Service will follow through, and Kazi, yeah, I think he's definitely going to try and at least let the 81 and 77 by. He may try to race the 91 of Jennings. He's got prerogative to do so, but that would definitely play into the hands of the Swift racing drivers of Service and Berger, as they are definitely starting to fight these race cars after 33 laps, Emerson. I guess the complexity of this race has completely changed. The complexion of this race, there we go, as Kazi stays up top of the 91 for now. Oh, contact, I think.
Oh, they are oh so close. Jennings was pushing tight. Kazi starting to get a little loose on exit. Now Berger trying to take the lead for the championship.
Seth Berger down low of Max Service, as it looks like Kazi will have to let Jennings go by. Malenko will follow into that spot. And side by side, cars 81 and 77 teammates for the championship.
And of course, you want to battle, and both of them want to win the title just as much as the other. But you don't want to allow the other 2 to get back into this. So I think I think Seth maybe learned a little something. He follows back behind Max, and they'll maybe try to work as a group to see if they have anything for the 2 car.
Scott Bailey has fallen off a cliff. He is in the 8th spot now. I don't see any damage to this number 11 car. He has just fallen completely back, and all of the hope we had at the start of this race may be starting to dwindle for the 11 car. He's not out of this by any means, but, well, not where he wants to be, as Max Service actually pokes down to the inside a little bit into turn 3. Oh, man, these guys will not stop.
And here we go. Max has a run. Can he send it? And how aggressive is Fitzpatrick going to block? Fitzpatrick gives room. Max down to the inside lane, but Fitzpatrick's got that defensive line in the middle.
Service, a bit of a bobble out of turn 2. Been saying that a lot tonight. As they work into turn number 3, and that nose pokes ahead for a moment. The 81 had the lead for a half second, but at the start-finish line to complete lap 38, it's still Fitzpatrick leading here at Richmond. And here is Jonathan Jennings, 4th place, just behind Seth Berger. That number 91 car starting to open up, starting to wake up and start to race hard.
Fantastic stuff to, start out the Outlaws Sim Series season finale here at Richmond. Max will finally clear to the race lead, and he'll get that clean air to that number 81 machine. Now Berger looking for second in the race and to follow his teammate on through. Fitzpatrick hanging tough on the outside.
Far from over here for Fitzpatrick. He wants to race these guys if he can, but also they are fighting for a championship. He's not, so he stays wide of Berger and allows a wide berth on the inside. Now here comes Jonathan Jennings. Will he make it any easier on the 91? I don't think so just yet, as Jennings will stall out a little bit in that 4th spot with Joshua Malliette and Adrian Schumacher just behind, as now Jeremiah Stutzman will come into the pit lane very, very early here on lap number 41.
And this one's a little surprising. Now, Stutzman is always the
Lead
bearer
change.
of strategy, and Seth Berger to the point. I think Max just let him have it.
Max to go to run out of turn 4, but it walks him up to the outside wall there for a moment, so he lifts out of it. As Fitzpatrick took a look to the inside, and even Balliet looking to the inside of Jennings. The racing is definitely happening here at Richmond as Balliet gets loose out of 2. That opens the door for Schumacher, and Jennings now looks to the outside of Fitzpatrick.
Now the outside's a little bit of an intriguing move. Sideways is the 91. He can't get the power down, and he has to work a little longer on his teammate, and Fitzpatrick not giving it up easy.
Really good stuff in the early goings. And how about this, Emerson? The driver that was last in practice out of the championship 4 is starting to walk away from the rest of the field with a 6/10 of the second race lead. He said this was not a strong track for him, but Seth Berger, oh boy, he's got reason to be happy right now. I know it's still early, only lap 44 now, but as we get into a long run, he seems to be the only one with a rhythm.
And he is cooking up 0.8 of a second and gaining max service left in the dust as Jennings finally working on Fitzpatrick. But Seth Berger is opening up that advantage big time.
And here you see Jennings has finally gotten by the 2-car Fitzpatrick. So now here comes Joshua Balliet on the outside of turn 1. Sends it into that brake zone. That was impressive. Out of the 7-car contact, and there goes the 2. No caution yet, and that's the danger zone here at Richmond. And we may not get a yellow for Fitzpatrick at all. He will now pull up onto the straightaway. We may not get a yellow.
Yeah, that's just one car incident. Adam is up there race controlling tonight. He saw it just as much as anyone else. We stay green. I believe maybe Balliet was a little lower on the track than Fitzpatrick anticipated, and the contact was made there out of 2. Maybe Balliet even got loose.
Balliet now 4th, Schumacher 5th, Scott Bailey's 6th spot as he's just ahead of Reese Schaefer. I got to be honest, Emerson, this is where I would say start to panic if you're a fan of the 11. As we get up to a 50-lap run, he's nowhere to be found. We're talking about 5.2 seconds out behind the leaders, and he's moving over. Is he pitting? He is.
Well, you know what, Andrew, though? Jeremiah Stutzman and Joseph Causey have both pitted. I think these drivers are anticipating a 300-lap green wire-to-wire race, and they may be just working it backwards like a road course, which is very risky on a short track. But in the Outlaws Sim Series, you can maybe make that risk a little bit more.
This is very, very interesting. I'm not really sure what to say about it just yet, but there is Scott Bailey on the pit lane.
And you know what, Andrew? I mean, it looked like, from the early going, he really didn't have anything. And if your only chance to win the title is to throw a Hail Mary in this final race, that might be what he has to do.
13.95 seconds he will lose. 1 lap. Is it going to be 2? There's Fitzpatrick. Fitzpatrick, by the way, has fallen to 9th spot. So they will exit side by side, or Bailey will exit side by side with Fitzpatrick, get back going. Fitzpatrick gives him the room on the inside. And Bailey powers away as Balliet and Jennings battle, and Jennings is pitting early. This is a very interesting set of strategy choices. I'm intrigued.
Yeah, this is interesting. I don't think I've ever seen pit stops this early in a short track race when you know these guys could go at least 85, 90 laps on fuel. Balliet's coming in. We're getting a lot of guys come into the pit lane now. So I wonder if, Max and Seth are looking at this.
There goes Jennings, 14.05 seconds. Nearly hit Seth Fitzpatrick on exit, but he will be just fine. Get back onto the racetrack. Bailey goes by. That was a big move. Tires are going to be a huge, huge premium. That is, wow. And the tire fall off, the laps these guys are running now are nearly 24 seconds. Their best laps are 22 2s, 22 3s, 22 4s. That is nearly 2 seconds of fall off. Call it 1.5, 1.6 seconds of fall off. That is big time. That's why these guys are doing this.
Yeah, you're right. I wonder, what the set of tires or how many sets of tires.
Whoa! St. Cour!
Middle of the track, St. Cour.
No caution. He will pit. That was scary.
Yeah, he's probably trying to get down the pit road speed and maybe made that transition a little too late. We'll see on the replay, though. That was crazy.
St. Cour now safely into the pit lane and into his pit box. But this is the onboard here for Andrew St. Cour. And just catches the apron there. Bailey was coming up on him. He goes for a spin. Thankfully, nobody involved. That was close, though, for a couple of cars. That could have been disaster.
Yeah, and again, that's why you see drivers when they pit here, Andrew, they pit on the back straightaway, entering turn 3 on the flat, because it's so easy to do that with the transition in the center of the corner.
Here from the drone into turn 3, you can see he just kind of whips it around, and whoa, there goes by Balliet and Jennings. That could have been dangerous. It was dangerous. It could have been rather unfortunate for a couple of drivers. Now, out front, as we've now hit 56 laps complete, Seth Berger continues to lead, and he's now got a 3-second gap back to Max Service. Berger is turning 23.6s. Max is turning 23.9s. Schumacher a 23.8 last lap. Reese Schaefer a 24.2. But Joseph Kazi is now back on the lead lap and is running 22.9s. There's a big difference here between lap times as these guys continue to see how their pit strategies will open up. And you're right, Emerson, of course, these guys can work this race in reverse like a road course and try to take the short stop early and then run exact fuel numbers from there. What do we expect for a fuel run from these guys, 125 or so?
Well, I'm guessing with that, they made the race basically 250 laps. I'd imagine it's a one stop from there, yes, to pit 125 laps away from the end. So that's what, lap 175. That if they're gonna one stop it to the end, those guys that just pitted now, that's when they're gonna pit. Everyone else, the drivers who stayed out in service, Berger, Schumacher, and Schaefer, only Swift Racing cars, by the way, to do that staying out strategy. They're gonna pit probably 125 and 250 and only have 50 laps at the end of the race.
Now on to lap 60, and you can see the congestion back here with cars that have already pitted. This is a lot going on. St. Cour has pitted. Service has not. Balliet has not. Jennings has, as he comes up into all of this in car 91. If Fitzpatrick rolls up on St. Cour, who has pitted, there's a lot happening here as the 91 of Jennings goes to the inside of Service. Balliet will go on through. Balliet has pitted, by the way. There is a lot happening in this little portion of the racetrack, and now Max Service is 4 seconds off of Seth Berger for the race lead. Schumacher behind him is third. Kazi is now fourth after looping all the way around to now just be 15 seconds out of the race lead. Powell has pitted. Schaefer has pitted. The only 3 cars that have not are your top 3.
Yeah, Reese Schaefer just came in, and however, Max, I'd consider it now. It looks like the pace right now, you don't have the same as Seth Berger. I'd consider coming into pit road.
Well, I mean, you can see the clear divide, right? Seth Berger, Max Service, Adrian Schumacher, they usually work together. They're likely on the same setup. They are likely on the same strategy here this evening. It's very clear where the division is here between the top 3 and everybody else in this race. They clearly have some form of strategy. They clearly have something in mind, and I know these guys are getting big gains right now on their tires, but if you think about it, if this is a reverse what we'll see later, then we're going to see these 3 have good tires later in the race and be able to make up more time later on. It's going to be intriguing to see exactly how this all breaks down, because I personally like having better tires at the end of the race if I'm a driver, and it seems like that's what these guys want to do.
And you know what, Andrew, what I just thought about? If it's a 2-stop for everybody, they might just pit at 100 and 200.
True, yeah.
And just split into even thirds and, maybe just have, better tires at each of the 100 marks.
The only trouble there then, Emerson, is, you end up wearing your tires out to where they kind of plateau. And is it really going to be a big difference between 100 and 150 laps? Are the times really going to change that much between those moments in the run? Are they really saving anything by only going to that 100 mark? I'm not entirely sure. We'll have to wait and see. I mean, this is very intriguing for sure. When's that first stage break again?
Oh, I
Or
guess
stage
we
stage
just
number.
passed it at lap 60. So
There you
Seth
go.
Berger won that stage, but that
And here we go.
jumbled
Here
up
comes
everybody.
Max.
Oh, Max is coming in. Little bit of a weird point. I rarely see cars come on the pit lane from the center to corner, but Max, you know, he pits at that even up. Well, I say even, but 67. That's kind of a number you associate, you know, with 2/3 of 100 laps and half of a 134 lap race, and 67 is just kind of that weird number you can see pit stops at as well.
It does still take time off of later runs, so that will still shorten those runs up. I really don't see being really advantageous at all to the 81 car. If you're going to commit like this, you've got to fully commit. Because the difference between 100 and 130 and 150 laps is not going to be that staggering. It's not going to make up that much of a difference. As this is something for sure.
I have no idea what the strategy is anymore, if I'm completely honest. The numbers have escaped me. Adrian Schumacher is now the only driver who has not pitted in this race, and he only has 4 seconds to Joseph Kazi.
Yeah, Kazi is now running 23 ones. It's Schumacher's 23 nines. And fresh off the pit lane, last lap for Max Service. Once he gets back to the start-finish line, it should be here in a moment. I'll let you know what that is, but has not come across just yet. So Service to the start-finish line now. Last lap, a 22.6, if that's any kind of reference, as we await Schumacher on the pit lane. And here he comes. Just like that, clockwork.
Yeah,
I
Schumacher
am thrown aback, for sure.
And Andrew, Seth and Max are now lapped because they waited so long.
That makes sense. It doesn't take much. And Seth Berger is actually very close to not being lapped. He's just behind the race leader, Joseph Kazi. They ran 20 or so laps, a second and a half, 2 seconds faster. That makes sense, as now Kazi will end up having to let the 77 go by. Bailey is currently second. Scott Bailey is second, just over Jeremiah Stutzman, as Seth Berger works himself back on the lead lap. Here comes Schumacher onto the racetrack. He's way further back of Max Service and everybody else. Here's Max Service right on the tail end of Scott Bailey, who's second currently. And he goes to the inside, nearly makes contact there, but forces his way through. Service, he's on a mission. He's got to make up a lot of time. He is 4 seconds back of Seth Berger and growing as Berger goes by Powell. There's a lot to try and keep track of. We're going to do our best, but this race is completely turned over.
And to be honest, Andrew, I don't know what trajectory is, gonna be the one to prosper at the end of 300 laps, and that's the fun of it, right? We're gonna have to wait and see who is able to be the one out on top. Here's the battle for second between Balliet and Bailey.
Bailey holding steady on the top side. This allows Jonathan Jennings to near in. We've nearly gone 75 laps, and this is maybe the most interesting race of the season. In the final race of the season, one of the weirdest set of short track strategies I have ever seen, as Bailey comes down the racetrack to take the bottom side away from Balliet, but I think that's only going to play into the 7 car's favor.
I'm starting to wonder, Andrew, if it's maybe going to be a 3-stop or I mean, having a 4-stop would be too much, I'd feel, but maybe that's even part of the strategy. For drivers to pit at lap 50 and lap 70. Very weird numbers when I know they can go somewhere in the range of 100 laps on fuel. Maybe just no advantage to run that long, but it is very, very intriguing to see these strategies play out. And Stutzman is back in, I think.
The distance they can go on fuel is rather important. If we think it's 100, that sounds like a 3-stop race. If these guys have already pitted at lap 50, maybe even a 4-stop, and it comes down to tires. And Bailey nearly comes down on the nose of the 7. That time I think he did a little bit. This is getting close. Of course, Scott Bailey does not want to give the spot up to Joshua Balliet, and he is going to race hard, as now Jennings takes a look to the inside of the 7 car. But at the same time, you can't turn yourself off the nose of somebody who has no loss in doing so. And yeah, Bailey very slow. Did he miss a shift or something? What is wrong?
Something amiss for the 11 machine. I'm guessing he got super loose out of 4.
My gosh. This is really scary to watch.
Lapped. but oh my goodness, there's action all over the place. Andrew, you only have 12 cars on track, but it's hard to follow it.
Well, this seems to have finally settled down a little bit. Now the Bailey's into fourth. Jennings now is your current would-be champion on lap 79 here. As, Schumacher nearly looked to the inside there into 3 and 4, nearly gives him a bump in the center of the corner. And Adrian will now power up out of turn 4 and take the inside line away from the 91 car. He goes on by. That allows the door to open for Joshua Balliet. Jennings closes it in 1 and will hang on to that spot as we are now on to lap number 80. Joseph Kazi is your race leader, by the way, as he works through turns 3 and 4 rather, and will complete the 80th lap of action. He's got 3 seconds on Jennings and Balliet. The difference in pits, by the way, between these two, or between Kazi, Jennings, and Balliet, 10 laps between Kazi back to Jennings. Balliet pitted 1 lap later than Jennings. Scott Bailey, who was 4th, pitted 3 laps prior to those guys as Jennings looks to the inside. Jennings defends over Balliet, who looks to the inside again. This is a race for sure.
Oh my goodness. And I mean, obviously I understand it's a race. Even Jennings said himself he's going to race like any other race. I just can't see the value in what you said, Andrew. Cutting it that close, chopping someone's nose off who doesn't have really anything to lose, who doesn't have any. Well, I mean, I guess he does have dogs in the fight if he's trying to help Swift, but Balliet, he's just here to race. And Jennings has bigger picture championship on his mind. I mean, race hard, yeah, but that is a little dangerous.
And finally, Jennings does let Balliet go on by. I think that was a wise move for sure. Kazi, by the way, has slowed down quite a bit. He seems to have a pretty short run setup, and of course has 10 extra laps on the track as opposed to these guys on this set of tires. So Kazi is now into the 23.8s. So it only takes about 40 laps for these tires to fully fall off, so they're losing 1.5 to 2 seconds per lap. Balliet just ran a 23.0. Which is a big difference in only 10 laps of different on the racetrack. I mean, we're talking about 42 to 32 laps difference. 42 versus 32 on the racetrack. And that time for Balliet at the 23.1. That is a big swing in just 10 laps.
Yes, it is. And the two Swift racing cars, they're running about a second faster than Kazi, but only a few tenths quicker than Balliet, maybe half a second faster than Jennings, and a little bit more than that than Bailey. Their advantage, obviously, with only pitting 20 laps sooner, or 20 laps later than everyone else, is not going to be that great than the advantage of the drivers who pitted on lap 50 while they stayed out.
So now here's Seth Berger on board. He's catching Reese Schaefer, who's directly in front of him. That's that black Toyota. The yellow Ford ahead is Jeremiah Sutzman, who is 12th, 1 lap down. He is the only car so far to pit twice in this race. And we have a lead change. Balliet goes straight by Kazi. And Malenko will take over the race lead here on lap 87. And his tires look like they're starting to fall off the cliff a little bit, Emerson, or at least start to slip, as he ran a 23.2 that lap, 23.3 actually. This lap a 23.5. Granted, it was in a battle. For Kazi, it was a 24.0. Jennings, it was a 23.4. So I really think it's right at 35 laps where these tires go off a cliff. That's what you have to use, basically, to make up time. And here we go. Nose to tail, nearly contact that time in 3. This is for second between Kazi and Jennings. Jennings will pull it to the inside. And look at the difference. And, they make contact. Wow.
I don't know if there's a little bit of beef there, but Kazi was up against the outside wall pretty much. I don't know Jennings had to do all that.
And here comes Joseph Kazi. He's only run 47 laps. They're just trying to keep the optimal tires on the car. I think they believe they can make up enough time on new tires to just keep pitting for tires. How many sets do we have?
Wait, there's 10 sets of tires in the race.
Oh, boy.
I think that's 9 in the pits. So, I mean, I guess you can see drivers make 7 or 8 stops.
Wow. You know what this feels like? This feels like an old console race.
Yup.
This feels like an old 2X tire wear console race. Where you just keep pitting for tires as soon as it's convenient for you to do so. As soon as the tires fall off, the times fall off. This feels like an old console race. This is bizarre.
And you know what, Andrew?
Whoa!
Oh, what a battle. I mean, the Outlaws Sim Series, this was a console league. Most of these drivers, we just came off of, NASCAR Heat a couple years ago. All these drivers, very well may be used to that style of a race.
I guess we're going to learn tonight, won't we? As Seth Berger, by the way, is back up to 4th, only 5 seconds off of Joshua Balliet. We have definitely got our money's worth this evening, and we're only on lap 92. Make that 93. This is going to be a tough one to follow. I don't know who's going to win this. I really have no clue who is currently in line to end up winning this thing. I think if you're Berger and Service, you're going to have to pivot quickly. Use these tires while you can, but I think once Jennings pits, you cannot be far behind.
Certainly, and if they close the gap to Bailey, well, I mean, here's Berger going by Bailey right now, but if Berger can get to Jennings and Jennings comes in, you should be coming in the next lap and maybe just fall. Well, I don't know. I guess following the strategy doesn't do you much good, but Berger has the pace. He shouldn't put himself in jeopardy like that.
I think Berger arguably has a better car than Jennings. I think Service is in that same boat. I think they've got better cars as Bailey pits that time. So the 11 is in, as he had just been passed by the 77. The 81 is still 4 or 5 seconds back. Max Service is starting to falter a little bit, as he still has to catch Reese Schaefer. This is interesting. I think Berger has the best car on the track. I think Jennings might be second narrowly over Max Service. And I think Scott Bailey is just trying to use pit strategy to his advantage. We'll see if it works out this evening. It may just. Honestly, if we get 50-lap runs all the way to the end, and he short pits a little bit to get out front of some of these guys, he could defend hard enough to actually hang on to some really valuable positions by the end of the night. And Scott Bailey, I think, has the 4th quickest car, but maybe one of the better strategies.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you're Max Service, I don't know what Max is going to do in this spot. There's still a lot of racing to go, of course, and the beauty of open setup races is you can adjust the spring off, the shock collar offsets in the pit lane. You can adjust grill tape if there's a little bit of adjustment to be made there. You can adjust the brake bias in the NextGen car fully in the car. You can adjust tire pressures. There's a lot Max can do, but he's going to have to do some of that because right now he just does not have it.
He's got to find some kind of adjustment. I know there aren't many adjustments these guys can do, if any. Well, can they do anything in the pit stop? I know they have their in-car tools, but can they do anything in the pit stop?
Yeah, they can do tire pressures. They can do, again, the spring offset, the shock collar offset, and grill tape, really. But the spring offsets, that changes the handling of the car a lot. And if something handling-wise for Max, he might have to do that. And grill tape, of course, will free the car up, but could bring some straightaway speed if you need it.
There goes Kazi on by Seth Berger. I think, that should have waited for a straightaway as Jennings is going to block Kazi. Oh, some contact there right in front, and Jennings is going to go around. Slides up the racetrack, and no caution for that. That is huge in the championship.
He never really went fully around. He just went up the track.
He's going to pit, and he has got to be livid.
Oh, my goodness.
Service is also in, so he actually gets the short pit this time on Jennings.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe Jennings was going to come in this lap regardless, but he might have just came in after that slide.
Once you slide your tires, we're learning more and more on this NTM7. You've just got to pit. Let's watch this back.
Goodness.
This is the onboard for Jonathan Jennings. Kazi is going to close up. And Jonathan Jennings just goes down the racetrack here. This is on both drivers. This is really heavily on both drivers. That is so silly to have on lap 100 of a 300-lap championship race. Jennings let the guy go by. He's clearly on new tires. Kazi, lift earlier. You're driving straight at the back end of another car.
I agree. Right there, if that brought out a caution, Andrew, normally the Outlaws Sim Series EOL's both drivers for that, but that time truly is, I think, both drivers. I don't get the block, and Kazi definitely could have lifted.
Yeah, that was really, really bizarre, and hopefully both drivers cool down by the end of the race. I think they made a little bit of contact early. I think they might be jaded from something else earlier.
You know what?
Yeah, I think there must be some kind of jading there. They've got to sort it out because, quite frankly, Kazi has nothing to lose. If you're Jonathan Jennings, sort yourself out. That cannot happen if you want to cap this season off that you've dominated with a championship. Wow.
Jennings disconnected.
Wow.
Oh my goodness. I wonder if it didn't. I mean, it was a big bump, but it didn't look like a bump big enough to give him suspension damage.
He had to back up a little bit. Do you want to know what I feel like that looks like? Considering he's out of the Discord? That looks like a rage quit. We got a console style race. Although, hang on. Let's see what happens here when he goes back out on track. This is bizarre.
Burger pits.
This is Jennings getting back on the track.
I did see Kazu's a
little. Oh! Wow! And there was no caution for this. What?
Adam, what are we doing here? What happened? That very much, I think, should have been one. Wow. I was going to say, I saw Kazi off the pace a little bit, but I'm like, I don't really know why. I thought he was letting Balliet by or something.
Wow, this is a bit of a delayed replay. We had a bit of a mix-up getting back to the point, but this is another view. Jennings out of the pits. Here comes Kazi. Wow. That speaks for itself, and this all stayed green.
We know what happened there, but oh my goodness. If you're Jennings, why? Big picture wise, I don't see the point of that. I get the frustration from the contact and it slid the tires. I don't know.
I legitimately have never. I cannot recall a time I've ever watched a championship competitor get upset over incidental contact that they could have prevented, and then take themselves out of a race. And I mean, Jonathan Jennings, fantastic season, great dude. That is the most bizarre thing I think I've ever seen somebody do. I'm speechless.
Yeah, I agree, and I don't know what to say. I agree. I don't know.
Fitzpatrick is done.
Yeah. Fitzpatrick has pulled it off. He hasn't left the session or anything, so he may still stay, maybe spectate. But all of a sudden, this comes down to if Scott Bailey's strategy can outduel the Swift Racing cars.
Well, while we try to readjust to what we've just seen, let's go ahead and go Pit Stop TV side by side, shall we, Emerson? We've still got nearly 200 laps to go, and everything has changed. Legitimately everything in the first 112 laps has changed this evening. No clue who's going to be your championship, but we're going to find out in about 188 more laps. Stay tuned. This is going to be a barn burner. Welcome back, and wow, that was a big moment right there. Scott Bailey and Seth Berger. This is currently your championship battle, actually, as we rejoin you on lap 124. Berger will take back control from Scott Bailey. It's a 10-lap difference between their pit stops. Berger pitted 21 laps ago, no, 20 laps ago, and Bailey 30 laps ago. And Emerson, this entire race has been turned on its head. One championship competitor felt it was best to turn his car against another driver. He's out of the championship, out of the race. Another driver has parked. The drama, it's there.
Absolutely. And you know what, Andrew? This playoff format, the playoffs, the championship pressure in itself may just have a whole lot to do with it. It's a high intense kind of format. You have to be on your toes the entire time, and just a little incident like that could set something off, and boy, did it.
You got to keep your emotions about you. I think that's just the best way to put it. You've got to keep your emotions about you if you want to win a 36 race season. And like I said, we could turn it any way we want to. At the end of the day, I've never seen anything like it. Things have completely changed. Kazi is now in the pits. To recap just a little bit, and then we'll just kind of move on, because this is a very dramatic situation. There clearly is some kind of, I don't even know what you would call it, I guess, past history, beef if you want to. Past history between Joseph Kazi and Jonathan Jennings. Jennings enters today as the championship favorite. There's a little bit of contact early in the race. Kazi started on pole. Jennings came from behind. They flipped speed, honestly, through the first run of the race. Had a little bit of contact at some point. A little more contact, I think, at another point. I think they were side by side, and into turn one they touched, and then one driver pitted, I think, or something like that. And for whatever reason, as Kazi had just pitted, came back on the racetrack, he stayed right behind Jennings into turn one. I think Jennings came down and blocked him a little bit. This is my opinion. Emerson, you can give yours in a minute if you'd like. I think Jennings comes down and gets in his way a little bit. Not sure why that was needed. I'm also not sure why Joseph Kazi had to run to the back of him. I think it was a bad situation that was kind of elevated by both drivers. Clearly, both drivers are not happy. Both drivers are currently parked. Maybe we can get Joseph's side in a few moments. But the real culmination of all of this is, Jennings had a little bit of a spin through 1 and 2, still 200 laps to recover, decides to pit, come back on the racetrack, and turn his car against another competitor and throw the entire season, the entire year of racing in the Outlaws Sim Series away for himself, and he will now finish dead last of the Championship 4. Emerson, what's your take? And then we'll kind of get through this.
Yeah, again, Jonathan Jennings, he said in the pre-race show, right, this is just any other race. He does, despises having the championship be decided this way. And of course, I can get that argument of it. But the race itself, clearly, I don't get how. It must have just been in race, because Kazi hasn't raced in 7-8 months. But there's a little bit of controversy between the two. They made contact. I think, more than anything, I think Jennings blocking a car on fresher tires was very ill-advised. And Kazi obviously was, I think he was maybe just dealing some payback to being contacted early in the race. And I thought it was over when Jennings just came in, like, all right, get fresh tires, carry on with the race. But it was clearly not. I can't fathom that. I don't know, maybe just damage has now sidelined Kazi, or his car's just not the same and felt there's no point in finishing out the rest of the race. But Jennings to do that, really, that's the first time he's done anything like that all season. As a newcomer to the Outlaws Sim Series this year, to tarnish the reputation, to throw the season away. The winningest driver on the season will not win the championship this season. It's disappointing.
Well, those are some very strong words. Very strong.
A little embarrassing.
Yeah, those are the strongest of the words. Do you want to get Joseph Kazi?
Sure. First race back in a few months. I think it'd be great to hear his side of it.
Well, here he is, Emerson. This is on you, buddy. You get the drama on this one. This is wow.
Hey, Joseph. Well, first, are you there?
Yeah, I'm there.
All right. Well, it looked like, I guess this just transpired this race. You haven't been here in a few months.
Yeah.
What's kind of your side? What'd you see or what'd you feel?
I don't know, man. Uh, I tried. Let's see. It was the first time he did it. I don't know, you probably didn't catch it, but he ran me close up to the wall. I don't know why. Coming off of one when I was on older tires, I was trying to give him room, and he just ran me close up to the wall like he was gonna push me up into the wall. And then, I went and got tires, and I was fixing, I'm coming back around. I'm gonna pass him, get my lap back, and he just decides to. It was like he brake checked me almost. It was like I was aiming for my braking point, and next thing you know, he slowed down so much further than my braking point when I was trying to go past him.
Yeah, I didn't even consider that part of it. I didn't even see how early it was in the braking zone. I think Andrew and I, we kind of both said it was kind of like a mutual contact, if you will. The block was a little questionable, and we felt maybe you could have lifted, but I guess we didn't even realize how far it was away from the corner.
He still had quite a bit, because I usually aim for that NASCAR symbol. That's my braking zone. That's where I aim for. It's usually kind of early, to be honest with you. He broke way, he's still. I'm looking at it like 7 car lengths away from that braking zone, and I'm hitting the brakes when he did that.
Well, obviously, he then went up, did a half spin up the track. We thought it was over, and he decides that, well, I guess he wants to take it into his own hands in the season finale. Did that damage the car enough that you had to just quit, or did the car just not feel the same after that?
Yeah, the car. I had 12 minutes or 12 seconds required and 5 minutes optional. That car just didn't feel great after all that happened. So I'm just gonna call it here probably, and I'm just gonna look over these guys, see what they're doing.
Well, there it is. And I know you're down in the Discord. It looks like there's 2 completely different kind of mindsets between Seth and Max with the way the race is playing out. What can you tell us down there?
Man, it's quite hard with when the tires wear out. It's getting very hard. A lot of these guys are doing different pit stops. As you see me, I pitted early. I fell back so hard. I was like, man, I'm gonna have to pull. Even though I don't like Denny Hamlin, I'm gonna have to pull Denny Hamlin and cut these stints in half, and try to make my ground that way. And it seemed to be working out. I was liking the way it was going, but man, just a sore person over something that he caused, to be honest with you. But that will end my day. These guys, it's going to be interesting how many pit stops these guys are probably going to have to do.
All right, Joseph. Well, we appreciate the time and appreciate you, of course, talking about the situation. I know, unfortunately, the race ends prematurely for you. You obviously had a fast car and led a bunch of laps. Looked like 49. To be exact. But your first race back in the Outlaws Sim Series, a little wild. And yeah, we appreciate the time, man.
I appreciate it.
There it is, driver of the number 88, Joseph Kazi. And well, that's his side of the story. We can't get Jennings. He is long gone to hear his side. Joshua Balliet is the race leader.
That's about what I expected from Joseph Kazi. I mean, 2 guys didn't like each other, didn't like the way they were being raced. Made a little bit of contact. I think devil's advocate kind of deal. That's what I would expect. Not in a bad way. Joseph Kazi, don't take this the wrong way. That's what I would expect from somebody who made contact with the front of their car to somebody else's rear. Oh, he braked way early. Well, you also could have lifted early, considering he's on older tires, you're on better tires. You're also entering the racetrack, entering that corner 3 lanes down. I mean, it's racing. This is short track racing, as Denny Hamlin so eloquently put it a few years back. This is short track racing, and tempers will flare. And clearly, we've seen a big flare this evening for sure. It's the winter solstice. I didn't think we had a full moon. I've never seen anything quite like it. I think two guys got frustrated. Both maybe could have played it better. One clearly got more frustrated than the other, and neither is in the race anymore. So we get to continue as we just hit halfway, Emerson. 150 laps complete, 150 to go. What a tumultuous evening we've had so far. And hey, Joshua Elliott into the pit lane here in Cars 7 from the race lead. That puts Seth Berger out front, not only of the race, but of the championship currently. Scott Bailey pitted 4 laps ago, so he is now behind Max Service, who pitted 11 laps ago. So Max is pitting very, very short at this point. He went long at first, now he's pitting short. Balliet pits right here at the 50 mark. And here comes Seth Berger.
Yeah, looking at it, looks like, it looks like these guys only made 2, 3, or 4 stops so far, and we're at the halfway point. So if 9 or 10 sets of tires in the pits, these drivers, they are on pace to still have a set or so at the end of the race. So they are still able to do the short pit strategy. Now, Max coming in 12 laps before Seth, that could have huge dividends in the short term for Max. But if Max continues to short pit, which right there, Max goes. Max closed up that 5-second lead. Now, he's going to be on much older tires than Seth now. That 5-second lead Seth had over Max. I wonder if over the course of the race, if Max is going to be able to reel that in or cover that off with, I guess, more stops.
I wish I knew. This race has taught me one thing, and that is to not bank on anything. As we have just this little bit of cold tires maybe for Seth Berger, gets that car a little bit loose up out of turn 2, but we've got a race at least for the time being. Granted, 14 lap old tires for Max Service are going to be much inferior, far inferior compared to Seth Berger's brand new tires once they take temperature. Max is still lapping at a 22.7. It's not bad, but it's worse than we're going to see here in a moment.
Yeah, and again, Seth is getting ready to embark on another stint. Max is probably a third of the way into his stint, to be completely honest, maybe even halfway through this tire stint, and he gives the inside to Seth. We'll maybe try to pinch him off here, and Seth's just going to power on through. Well, here comes Max, actually.
Had the momentum off the top side. I think the top is definitely where you want to be, but right there. The 77 will clear the 81, and Seth Berger is back on his way. This is going to be tough. I'm not sure where Max lies. I'm not sure if he's been holding back. If he's been holding back, we're on the far side now, halfway. Laps are now officially winding down. He has got to get going. He's got to find more speed. And I know, obviously, this is a difference of tires at this point, but from the strategy to the pace long run, I just don't think he's got what Seth Berger has this evening. I'm not sure what the difference is, but something is not quite the same. As here we go, side by side, Reese Schaefer will pass Adrian Schumacher. That is a difference of 12 laps on the racetrack for those tires. So the better tires on Schaefer's number 17 will take the race lead.
And how about this? Reese Schaefer, again, running a part-time schedule. College, mainly the reason not able to run full-time this season, but the semester's over, so he's able to run the season finale tonight, being pushed back a week later. In the lead right now and searching for a third win on the Outlaws Sim Series season. And Adrian Schumacher searching for a fourth on the season.
Here's a stat. Well, here's a stat I want to track, Emerson. 15 laps led for Schaefer. It'll be 16 this time by. We've seen a lot of different leaders. So if we bring up our race info tab, 12 lead changes, that doesn't tell us how many leaders. Let's go ahead and count a little bit through these guys. So Schaefer's now got 16 laps led, Schumacher 8, Balliet 46, Seth Berger 32, Max Service 2, Scott Bailey somehow 0. Honestly, that's surprising. Stutzman 0, Powell 0, St. Cour 0 as he is 8 laps down in the pits. Causey led 49, Seth Fitzpatrick led 6, and Jonathan Jennings, I'm surprised actually, led none. But this is a lot of leaders for a short track, especially only to be 160 laps in. Again, what? Schaefer, Schumacher, Balliet, Berger, Service. And then I believe Causey and Fitzpatrick, that's 7. That is half the field has led part of this race, and now Schaefer's coming in.
Schaefer comes in, gives the lead up to Adrian Schumacher. And yeah, it's been wild, Andrew. Granted, and I know 300 laps, it's a long race, but at least to the first 162, we have been treated to a pretty good show.
The wildest 150 laps I've ever seen on iRacing. I'm going to be honest.
I wouldn't disagree, because it has been somehow, Andrew, with only 12 cars running, we've gotten the craziest race easily in the Outlaws Sim Series.
Yeah. Definitely the most dramatic I think I've ever covered on iRacing. I know we've been a little more kind of jokey, speechless tonight. I've never seen a race like this. I've seen a lot of things. I've seen a lot of short track races go a lot of different ways. I've seen a lot of short track tempers take over at all kinds of bull rings across the South. I've never seen anything like this. Adrian Schumacher will work himself out of the pit lane. I've never seen this combo of strategy, battling, tempers, drama in general, with everything on the line. I mean, it's just such a crazy combination we've got this evening. As Schumacher will go back by the 81 of Service. Max Service, by the way, is third now to Seth Berger and Joshua Balliet, so it seems like we've got our cycle, where Balliet, Berger, and Service will lead through the mid portion of the run, and then they'll pit a little bit, I guess, offset from guys like Schaefer and Schumacher, and even Stutzman, who will take the spots back over up front, even Bailey, and we just will go flip-flop. It's a matter of who's going to be in that spot at the end of 300 as Max Service. That was a big catch out of turn 4, and that car is not handling how he needs it to.
Absolutely not, but if he's got the tire sets, Andrew, I think he has to think about coming in now. I know we're only 27 laps into his run, but this is huge. You can't be losing this much time and not. Oh, he is so sideways. You know what, Andrew? I think he's been making adjustments to try to help his drive off. Maybe he was a little pushy tight on exit and maybe overcompensated for it, and he might be struggling with it here.
I think this race is starting to get the best of him. I don't think he needs the pit yet. I think frankly, to keep himself anywhere close to Berger, he needs to keep doing what he's been doing this evening. Maybe go a few adjustments back. It seemed like he was at least stable, even if a little bit off pace earlier, to where if something happens to Seth Berger, while it's not likely, he could at least capitalize on it. If he pits now, he's an extra stop behind. And we're talking Reese Schaefer levels of, no, even further. We're talking back down there with like Kevin Powell in 8th. If he pits this early, they're all on 3 stops, the leaders, the top 6. They're all on 3 stops so far. If he pits this early, I think it shoots himself in the foot, and I think he's out of this race unless we get a caution.
I mean, yeah, that's fair, I guess. But at the same time, to come in that early, Berger didn't be conflicted to come in, only like 17, 20 lap old tires to cover off Max Service.
I think they've found the happy medium of pitting and making that time back up at 50 laps apiece per run. I don't think 25 laps or 30 laps is a good number to try and go with. I think that's too short, and I don't think you would gain enough time out of it. Well, here goes Jeremiah Stutzman. Stutzman, by the way, is 7th. 15 laps less of a run. I mean, Max is struggling. I think he has to pit at his earliest convenience, but I think his convenience isn't until about lap 180, and even so, he's got to find a way to tighten this car back up and run longer, as Scott Bailey is about to blow his doors off. I mean, this car is the complete opposite direction from where he started.
I think it'd be crazy, Andrew, but I think if Max maybe is able to make figure out what he needs to do to get this car as great as he can, pit maybe with Seth, and maybe just stay out, I guess get the lap and so distance over Seth Berger, see if there's any time to be made there. Seth makes one more stop and Max doesn't.
If he pits early, he just has to run long, I think. If he pits early and adds it and does not compensate for it, he's out of the race. If he pits early and runs long, he might be able to get back in, but I don't know. I know why you're saying he's got to pit, and I don't necessarily disagree, because the way he's running these laps at 24-1s, 24-2s is only going to hurt him more and more as these laps go on. I just don't know what else there is for him to do. He might be able to pit if he knows the adjustment to get the car back where it needs to be, but if he doesn't, it's honestly futile.
That's right. And more what I'm saying is, make that adjustment, hope it sticks, and maybe run the last 125, last 100 whenever he makes that stop without pitting.
Let's watch his hands here. Let's just watch his hands for a couple of laps. You can see the steering wheel there on your left side of the screen, right above his name on the graphic. And just watch the way he's fighting this car out of every corner. He must have felt snug early and made an adjustment, and this track must have changed. It hasn't. 84 degrees still. He must have just made a big swing, and that big swing is really biting him right now.
Might have been a Hail Mary move from Max. Just seeing he didn't have the pace earlier, maybe just needed something. And I don't know what to do if I were in Max's shoes here. This one's slipping away. I think without one of those magic yellow thingies, it's gonna be really hard to reel back in.
Oh, sideways into 1 and 2. He catches it. But man, yeah, that car is all over.
Out there.
I think at this point you're to the realm where you could pit and be okay. He's back to 23.7s. He's running a little bit quicker. This lap will probably be a detour from that. Oh man, yeah. No, at this point I think go ahead and pit. You've run enough laps to at least kind of bridge the gap. Oh, I'd love to know the tire wear on that car after this one.
Oh goodness, he's gonna be 14 seconds behind Seth here. He's gonna have to. It's going to be big time, and he stays out again.
No, he's pitting. Here he goes.
Oh, yep.
Oh, that was sketchy coming in. It would have been worse, though, Emerson. Honestly, this is a better case scenario than if he had pitted, because I pitted earlier, because he lost some time here, but if he had added a stop, as opposed to running long to compensate, which we know is only going to hurt him more, I think this is the best case scenario given what he had. He hung on. Props to him. He's got to find some kind of adjustment here. He has got to change the car big time. Big swing is needed.
Absolutely. Oh no. Oh.
It just gets worse.
This is tough. Tough to watch, but the regular season champion on the pit lane, getting his service. I'm sure making a huge swing back in the direction, maybe tightening up those exits. And he'll be off and away with 120 laps to go.
Riding on board here with Max Service. He's now 2 laps down behind Kevin Powell, right where I said he likely would be. Problem is, he is 7 seconds back of Powell, loose on his own on cold tires. A slide there in 1 and 2. Oh my goodness, this gets worse and worse.
I have no words, really. This is an unraveling I haven't seen in a while for Max and him driving one of his setups.
Well, and you know what? That's actually right about something I was going to ask. Why are we seeing this struggle for Max Service and not Seth Berger?
I'm not entirely sure. I know they've made several setup versions. They were talking about, a 0.4 and a 0.3 earlier. I don't know if they ran the same one, or one suited one driving style better, or one was better for long run running. But whatever it is, Seth picked the right one.
Seth Berger running second currently to Joshua Balliet as the laps wear on in this championship finale for the Outlaws Sim Series. Boy, have we seen it all tonight. From completely bizarre pit strategy that we have never seen on a short track on Pit Stop TV to complete drama, a meltdown maybe of a championship competitor, and now an unraveling of another. I've never, ever seen this kind of championship finale at all. This Final Four setup has given us a lot of things in the NASCAR Cup Series and really all 3 of the NASCAR National Series and plenty of leagues on iRacing. But between all of them, I've just never seen anything like this.
Okay, we got to cut to Seth, Andrew. He is in some drama with Kevin Powell. Powell was blocking on the back straightaway, almost turned him on the front straightaway.
Here we go. This is at a turn. You're kidding me!
Oh my goodness!
What a joke!
What is happening? And a caution comes out.
A rightful caution.
Oh my goodness.
That is...
That might... He might not run another race in the Outlaw Sim Series.
I certainly hope not.
Oh my goodness.
That is the single most embarrassing thing I've ever seen a real or sim racing driver do.
At least this episode of this drama and Kevin's disconnected.
This is several
went
laps
on for a
back. We're just
couple
gonna
laps.
watch this.
Right.
Wow. I've never... where does this come from, Emerson? I mean, you've been here more this season than I have. Where does this come from?
I don't recall Powell ever having anything with Seth. He had a couple run-ins with Max before the playoffs started. This is huge.
He blocks him down the racetrack there. This seems to be where they first join.
Seth, plenty of room.
This is running into turn 1. Contact there from Powell to Berger. And this is into turn 3. This is where... That is... That makes an entire year of racing. Kevin Powell, I'm talking directly to you. This is taking my hat off for it. That makes this entire year of racing look like a complete joke, and I hope you are satisfied. I
don't know how accurate this is.
That is so disrespectful to Adam Gardner and everything he's done for everyone in this league over the course of the last few years. That is enraging, Emerson. I've never...
I agree. I don't know what to say. I'm being told apparently Powell was blaming Swift Racing for the thing with Kazi and Jennings, and he was paying Seth back for that. And I don't know why Powell would take that into his own hands.
I'm so sorry for Adam Gardner. I really am. You know, I try to stay as honest yet as professional as I can with all of these broadcasts we do on Pit Stop TV. I pride everything. I pride ourselves in giving you guys that are watching a TV-like experience, a professional experience, a fun experience, an exciting one. I pride us in just giving you good quality sim racing broadcasting. Unfortunately, and I have no dog in the fight here between teams. I'm not interested in that team drama here. But unfortunately, at least one driver, if not others, have taken it upon themselves to throw out an entire year of racing, an entire year of excitement, an entire year of dedication and money put into this league by Adam Gardner and others, and throw it out the window. And I feel so sorry for Adam Gardner and the admins here. This is... I mean, it's an embarrassment from that driver that just, I don't even want to say his name now, from that driver that just did that in turn 3 to take out a championship leader who was actively leading in the championship race for something that had nothing to do with him. And, you know, that is a frustrating thing to watch. And I just hope everybody watching understands we just want to see good racing, honest racing. And that is frustrating. That should be frustrating to anybody who loves racing, as we do. What we now have is Max Service caught 1 lap down behind the leaders. I think we're restarting this time by Jeremiah Stutzman's in the pit lane. For what reason, I don't know, frankly. But we have 4 cars that are restarting on the lead lap. Balliette's leading, Schaefer's second, Schumacher and Bailey are side by side for 3rd and 4th, and Bailey... Okay, so we all are going to go at least one more lap under yellow. Scott Bailey is the only championship competitor on the lead lap. If this race goes green from here, Emerson, car 11's your champion.
That's what it seems to be. And Max is also on old tires to take the wave around. I don't think he had to sit there on old tires. I think Max could have pitted. He should have been the lucky dog or in some sort. Oh no, I guess he was too. I don't know.
I think Stutzman was your lucky dog.
That's right. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, Stutzman came in to pit. That's why the caution was extended to give him his fair chance to pit and rejoin the queue. And yeah, wow, they're extended again, I believe.
I think there's some extensive review going in.
So the driver said over the radio, this is what I'm just getting from one of the drivers in the race, that there was an attempt to rig of a race.
Well,
I have no idea.
This is a new one for me. I've never, and I don't know. Hopefully Adam can find some better drivers, because the effort Adam Gardner puts into this league, the time and money he puts into this league, really deserves it. And I hope everybody watching can see through some of what's happened this evening and see and understand that, because this is a very fun league, and this only inspires me more to hopefully work with Adam in the future in some way, shape, or form. I know it's been announced that the broadcast will not be in this same form next season, but hopefully we can find some kind of way to work, because, wow, this has been pretty painful to watch. But we are back green flag, and Joshua Balliet is your race leader. Reese Schaefer and Scott Bailey are side by side for second. Hopefully this one can go green without any issues. Hopefully the hurt feelings are put aside, and hopefully the adults can race.
Absolutely. Hopefully we can at least see this out. I wonder if there's going to be a strategy move that maybe Max has to take to get a lap back here to salvage this race. Other than that, it's going to be really tough here. Scott Bailey has the pleasure of just running this race out. Balliet trying to get his second win on the season and go back to back, but Schaefer would like a third, and I'm sure Schumacher would like his first win on an oval since race 9 in season 1. A lot of storylines still to play here on the lead lap.
And now everybody in that Swift Racing Discord channel is going to be propping up Max, trying to say, go, get him, run this lap down. Honestly, in 102 laps to go here, Emerson, it can be done. That said, Scott Bailey goes purple. 22-148. You can't say he's backing into a championship here. He is driving it for it. Even with the circumstances, for him to go purple at this point in the race with 100 laps to go off of a restart, props to Scott Bailey. Seriously.
Absolutely. Scott Bailey, he's done everything right. He's kept himself in this race. He's, of course, taken advantage where he could, but he's got to put himself in those positions to take advantage. And it looked grim early on for Scott, who struggled with tire grip in the first stint. Strategized his way back into a position where here he is, and he's going for it.
So Scott Bailey, P2. The lap times between Bailey and Service, they're not great, considering Service had to take the wave around. He's got 10-lap older tires. Max pitted at what ended up being the worst time. He needed to hang on, unfortunately. Obviously, hindsight's 2020, but this race, just the worst timing for that to happen possible for Max Service. Really. He needs a caution. We're going to see, I think, one stop out of the leaders from here. I don't think we see a second stop from this point to the end. I'm not sure. Max Service is just going to have to go. Hope there's a yellow, but if not, he's just going to have to run the best 98 laps that he can in the next hour or so and hope that something works out.
Absolutely. There's not a whole lot of room to make an adjustments here. If he can go to the end on field, that's really his only, I think, chance without a yellow. And yeah, we'll see. I don't know if there's anything his teammates can do for him to try to help him out here, especially because Max is off the pace right now with the older tires. But we'll have to wait and see here.
On board currently still with Max Service is really nothing is changing, unfortunately, for his day. How about Reese Schaefer, though, battling a little bit with Scott Bailey? I'm sure Reese just trying to get through these laps at this point. Of course, Balliet in that Swift Racing group is leading the show. He's got a 1.3, 1.4 second gap now to Scott Bailey for the race lead. But, Schaefer's just got a great opportunity at this point. Go put it P2, P3, have a good night, and enjoy this return to racing.
Schaefer again. He's been on a part-time schedule. He loves this Outlaw Sim Series a lot. He unfortunately has never been able to compete in it full time, whether it's been school or work. He's come a couple of starts short of being able to make the playoffs in the first season. But he's been here, and he's been a talent pretty much in almost every single one of these races. He's ran in the Outlaw Sim Series over the course of the last 3 seasons. He's been there, and he's been competitive in them. And here he is once again battling it out for the second spot here on the podium. Looks like at least Bailey right now in the short run has the advantage, but we've seen Schaefer and Schumacher. They've gone long in this race.
If Reese Schaefer finds a way to undercut the 11 of Bailey, I think he could absolutely take this second spot away just through the pit lane. I don't think Reese really has to do too much of pushing. All he's got to do is maintain. And, we've seen it be relatively difficult to pass until you get side by side. So if Schaefer can undercut by just a lap or so and use that to his advantage to get a second or two on the racetrack, oh boy, we could be in for a really good fight here for the second spot as we're on board with Reese Schaefer for third. Looking up at second, which is Scott Bailey, who currently leads in the championship fight.
That's right. And again, I wonder, if Schaefer, applies the pressure here. I know Bailey would, of course, want to finish the best he can in the race. How hard would a battle between these two go? Schaefer, of course, I mean, he's ran such a part-time schedule. I don't think he's had any chance to, build up any history of people in that are still on track. But two very clean drivers here. If they were to go at it, it'd be intriguing to see how hard Bailey fights it.
Schaefer actually gains a little bit that time at a turn 1. And you can see they're kind of isolated at this point, starting to walk away from Adrian Schumacher just a little bit. So these two, I think, are our most exciting battle on track to watch. We've got to keep tabs, though, with just where Max Service is. As unfortunately, his car starts to continue. Well, it keeps falling off, and he's about to hit that cliff, Emerson, where the tires are going to fall away. And I don't know really what he needs to do to right the ship. I don't know if maybe he undercuts here, tries to make time and hope for a late race yellow. But with this number of cars, unfortunately, I don't think we're going to have one.
I really don't see it either. Yeah, and I guess that'd probably be the only way here. Is maybe Max to come in, try to get his lap back on fresh tires, and just go to the end, I guess.
If possible, I would like to see Service just run this out, honestly. I know I'm mentioning the short pit and try to hope something happens, but I would like to see these two just run these laps and see where they sort out. Clearly, Scott Bailey was given a fantastic machine this evening. So, you know what? Props to those guys at Last Chance Racing for doing that. Gave him a great car. At least I'd imagine they helped him with the setup, if not gave him this setup. No matter what, Scott Bailey has executed beautifully tonight. He looked like, honestly, he at one point was the one driver I would have said was out of it for the championship. And clearly in the last 120 laps, that has all changed.
Yeah, I agree. Early on, it looked like he just didn't have the long run pace. The short run car was not going to be the way to go early here. We saw the field kind of gravitate towards a strategy where you where you come in, you get your fresh tires as soon as the tires kind of wear past a certain point. Bailey's kind of benefited from that. Looks like the setup may just be perfect for that scenario. And he's kept himself on the lead lap, and really that's what it comes down to. In position in this race, he's no slouch at it. Still here in second. I mean, maybe Balliet maybe too far away gone for maybe a battle for the win here at the moment, but is going at it hard and holding off, one of the winninger drivers here in the series. Schaefer with, I'd say, somewhere in the realm of 6, 7, or 8 wins here in the Outlaw Sim Series.
I know it looks like he maybe can't compete for the win, but I would actually disagree. If Scott Bailey is able to short pit on Balliet, I know at first I was talking about Reese short pitting on Bailey. If Bailey can short pit a little bit and get ahead of Balliet, maybe he makes that car Ryan Newman wide and is able to hang on for a little while and at least make it exciting. If not actually legitimately fight. I know it looks like Balliet's got a better car, so we talk about it maybe being out of the realm of possibility for Scott Bailey, but there's plenty of ways he can do it. And I think on the other side, if Balliet short pits and Bailey runs longer early and then runs shorter later, maybe he has the tires to catch up. We've got a few options where this race can still change in different ways, even just with these top 3 cars.
Looks like there's Stutzman has had a moment there because there was a little bit of a flash on time and scoring there. Adrian, we're in 4th.
I wonder if Schumacher might have blinked because Adrian was 4th. So he stays 4th. But I saw that too. It got my interest, don't worry. This is on board with Reese Schaefer.
Schaefer, he's stalking Scott. Scott kind of running a little bit off the bottom, about like half a lane up off the bottom. Schaefer takes that a few times, but it looked like that's him kind of followed more into tire tracks. Yeah, it looks like he's more following. Maybe a quarter off the bottom is what Reese is doing. But looks like a little bit of a loose feeling for the 17. And searching for maybe that mistake or just that point to really get there and get to the rear bumper and just get him a little up out of the groove.
While this run continues and we start to get an idea of how the rest of this race might look, we're going to go Pit Stop TV side by side for the final time this season in the Outlaws Sim Series. Just over 75 laps remaining in the championship race here at Richmond, and we're about to find out who wins this championship. Welcome back to the virtual Richmond Raceway. We have seen one of the wildest nights of racing I think you could have possibly asked for to wrap up the Outlaws Sim Series 2022 season. Also one of the most dramatic ways to end a season for sure. A lot of drama. We've said some very strong words about it, so we don't necessarily need to rehash things. If you missed it, you should go back and watch it at some point because it's been pretty insane and difficult to comprehend on multiple levels. But as we get back into it with 61 laps to go, we actually have an active battle for second place between Schumacher and actually Balliet. What has happened here? He has crashed and pitted. Emerson, that is a tow from the race leader.
Oh no! Oh my goodness!
It just gets worse.
This race was firmly in hand for him.
This is the replay here for Joshua Balliet, as we call him Malenko. Into turns 1 and 2, something goes completely awry. Now Scott Bailey's in the pit lane, but this is the race leader at the time. Into the first corner,
no.
Too much rear brake bias. The car comes around, he overcorrects and puts it in the barrier. No caution, he tows, and he's done.
That's insane. I can't believe that. Balliet, he had such a big lead. There's no need to push the entry to the corner that hard. Max Service is already coming in off the pit lane. Scott Bailey will cover that off. And that leaves the race to, at the moment, Adrian Schumacher and Reese Schaefer out in front. And Adrian Schumacher, again, trying to get his, first oval win in the Outlaws Sim Series since race 9 in season 1, which was at Daytona. So at that, if you want to discredit super speedway races, then he's looking for his first oval win.
Balliet, it looks like, is done now for the season. It does take repairs, but those will be probably some lengthy repairs. But Emerson, we saw the drama at turn 3. We'll leave the driver unnamed that turned Seth Berger and took him out of the championship fight. But this, it's, as we said, an embarrassment, I think, is a fair way to put it. Really unfortunate to see that somebody would take out a championship competitor like that, especially one that is so emphatic, so involved in sim racing, and really pushes his brand so much. I mean, he's got it on 2 different cars out there, not only his own. So, really unfortunate for Seth, but it sounds like we got Seth to talk to him.
Yeah, we do have him around. We'll see if he's there to hear from him, because I mean, this was huge.
Was in the interview waiting room.
Oh, okay. So yeah, we can go ahead and bring on up then driver of the number 77, Seth Berger. Seth, you were firmly leading the title fight. You led 32 laps over on the race tonight. We caught a lot of what happened in those laps leading up to it, but I don't know if there's more to the story. So what happened?
And Seth, if you're unsure, you are muted. I know I did not move him there. There he is. We got him.
Yeah, sorry. I've had no issues with anyone. The only person I've had issues with all season was Gilliard, and he's not even here. I've never had an issue with Kevin Powell. I've never had an issue with Scott Bailey. I've had an issue with Jonathan Jennings. But you guys are talking to the 2022 Outlaws Sim Series champion right now. If anyone else is named the champion, that's not true. No one else is the champion then. That's all I got to say about it.
Yeah.
Literally all he has to say about it. For those wondering, he just disconnected straight from the broadcast room here. And that's not even disconnected to, left the channel. He just disconnected. So he was waiting just to talk to us, Emerson, and disconnected.
Yeah. It obviously frustrated. Very understandably so frustrated. It should be frustrated. But you know what? He didn't badmouth anyone. He made his statement, and he carried on. For someone in his boat, that takes a lot to not just go off on a on a tangent.
Yeah, and he's saying that he's the champion because he was leading this race by quite a ways. He had it wrapped up by the point in time that he was taken out unfairly by another competitor. I think that the good thing to take from this is, I believe a 2023 season is happening regardless. I don't think that's going to change. I think Adam Gardner is going to push on with this series. This is going to be difficult. This would be difficult for any league owner to get through and still have the drive to run a league. I'm going to be honest. This is kind of breaking the fourth wall a little bit because we present this as if it's TV, and in a lot of ways it is. This has been one of those nights where it's difficult to not break some fourth walls, but Adam Gardner puts a lot of time and effort into things. This would be difficult for any league owner to deal with, and I think the good thing is I don't see Adam letting this league be anything other than active in 2023, and I think it's going to be better for it. In whatever form it is, maybe it takes a season to recover, Emerson. I know you're on that admin team. We can't not talk about it at this point. After the first one, it was like, well, let's just keep focusing on the race. The entire season has been so severely affected by tonight alone. It's impossible to ignore.
No, I agree. It hurts, as admins. I think all the admins, they made their statements, privately in the admin chat, or Stutson, I think, made a very loud statement if you pay attention to the Discord weekly, mid-race. Everyone, I think, admin team and the drivers who are still here left in the race, still connected to the session, all take this league very seriously. There's no money, there's no prizes on the line. It's all for fun. All it's ever been to Adam has been, organizing events so friends, so good buddies could, race it out on Wednesday nights, and if he could, throw it on for the rest of the world to see. But I understand it's going to be hard to think past tonight for a while, and probably as it should. But Adam, I think, will still rest on the morals that we're just here to have a good time, and those who want to race and have a good time, they'll be here for next season, and those who don't, he'll show them the door.
Well, as we close in on 40 laps to go, Scott Bailey is the single man in charge. He's got 6.5 seconds back to Reese Schaefer, and that number is dwindling as time goes on. Question is, Emerson, how long can he stretch this out? It's a difference of 10 laps. Once again, it seems like that's the number. A difference of 10 laps between when Bailey pitted and when Schaefer pitted. And that number on track is about 0.6 of a second per lap, it seems. Maybe a little more, a little less. It depends on that lap. Last lap, it was about 5.5 tenths. That lap might narrow as Bailey runs a 22.8. Schaefer comes across the line, runs a 22.5. So only 0.3 of a difference that time. But they are closing.
Yeah, and Bailey, more than anything, he was just covering off Max. Max came in and pitted, and Bailey said, well, just to ensure nothing happens in that department, he'll pit 2 laps after Max and kind of settle it there. As far as the race win, well, obviously I don't think he anticipated Balliet having his moment into turn 1, but it seems like at the moment, the pace, the way it is, Schaefer, it's going to take maybe 10 to 15 laps, and he may rejoin here to this battle. What we could see here, about 20 laps to go for the race win here at Richmond. With Adrian Schumacher close in tow, I know, the race is kind of taking a sour turn, but we could have a little bit of a fun little battle for this race win here in a few laps.
Here's Schumacher closing in. Well, actually, really just maintaining to Schaefer. I don't think Adrian is going to push too much until they're all together, I'd imagine. And maybe even after that. I think at this point, Schumacher and Schaefer, their game plan has got to be catch Bailey, dispose of him as quickly as possible. From there, I think you'll see Adrian Schumacher maybe put a little bit of pressure on his teammate Reese Schaefer. And only there, I think, do you see that end up being the case. This is a an interesting race, Emerson. I've been saying it. I've never seen anything quite like it, and we're about to see a battle for the race win that we don't usually see, quite frankly, between these few drivers. And things are not over. I mean, I know Stutzman is way off pace, so he's a little ways back, but if one of these drivers slips up, maybe takes themselves out, along with a couple of others, or even just adds some damage, I mean, we still could see any of the 5 drivers in this race win.
Absolutely. It's not over. I mean, these are teammates racing one another, but they don't get to race all that often against one another. Maybe, a couple times, but Reese is on a part-time schedule, and well, Adrian runs this full time. Everyone, there's friends, but they don't really know each other's tendencies all that much yet.
Here comes Schumacher on the inside. He's nearly got that spot cleared now. I didn't think we'd see this battle, but sure enough, there goes Adrian Schumacher through to second. That only seems like it'll slow them down. Maybe they feel confident enough that they'll catch Scott Bailey and be able to get by him, that they're not concerned. I understand why, frankly. I think Bailey's car just goes away on a long run. I mean, he's got the fastest lap of the race, I believe, still at a 22:14. But unfortunately, as the run goes on, Scott is just off pace.
And it looks like it's going to take a little bit longer to maybe like the 10 or 15 I was, saying earlier, because, well, you didn't account for tire fall off, but there is still a few tenths, and obviously in the favor to Schumacher and Schaefer, as they pitted 10 laps earlier. And this might be a last-ditch effort for service. Just get fresh tires on it and maybe hope for a yellow to fall at the right time or something. Or this could be it, but I don't think Max would be the one to quit.
At this point, I wouldn't imagine so. I would say that you wouldn't run 268 laps of a 300-lap race for the championship and then drop out. I'm not saying Max is going to, but we also said that about just running 36 races in general. And, we still saw a couple of drivers throw their chances away. Well, one driver in particular. But, just a crazy night. 19 and a half seconds. I mean, he might have actually picked up a little bit of damage potentially. As that's a long stop for Max. He gets back on track, though, now 3 laps down. And unfortunately, it's been a rough night. And unless we get a caution or 2 even, yeah, it's just not going to happen.
Yeah, it's a far, long call away. Max would have to lap this place at like 16 seconds to even have a chance with a yellow. And I just don't see that happening, because we haven't seen lap times like 16 seconds around here.
Well, he could start pulling the Chastain line, maybe.
Well,
I know Adam Gardner wouldn't be too happy about it, but maybe if he pulled the Chastain line long enough.
At this point, I don't see why they would matter.
It's just unfortunate for Max. I really feel for everybody in this situation, just in this whole deal. But we have 30 laps to go, Emerson. Scott Bailey is the race leader, and he makes it 29 laps to go into turn 1 this time. All he's got to do is run 29 clean laps, leader or not, and come home with this thing as the Outlaws Sim Series champion. Adrian Schumacher's closing, but that's no matter. He's just got to stay ahead of Max Service, who's now 3 laps down.
Absolutely, and with that, I wonder, Scott maybe he's going to be able to battle it out with Adrian and Reese harder, knowing he has a couple lap cushion, but you wouldn't want to put yourself at any risk to throw anything away. We'll see how bad does Scott want to win the race along with the championship, or is it just championship picture here? We'll figure this out here in a few moments.
Here comes Adrian Schumacher. This will be a battle for the final race win on the season in 2022. Schumacher to the inside, Bailey to the outside. And just like that, really no battle at all, as Adrian Schumacher will take over control with just 26 laps to go.
And now Adrian in prime position. Again, well, I guess I shouldn't say, because last time I was going to go on this tangent, there's a little bit of a commentator's curse, but Adrian has worked so hard to get to this point. I know, there's been some wild events that transpired in this race, but that doesn't take away that it's still a 300 lap race, and it's hard to run it. And Adrian has put himself in this point and is looking pretty stout here with 24 laps to go this time by.
Reese Schaefer, meanwhile, going to close in on Scott Bailey for the second position. And there's definitely a difference in pace here. Last lap for Bailey, a 23.46. Last lap for Schaefer, a 23.26. So 0.2 of a second that lap. So they're starting to get closer as these tires continue to wear out, but still definitely an advantage of the 17 car. That said, Schaefer now searching. Oh, that's why. There goes Max Service to the inside. So Service wants to at least get one of these laps back. Oh,
give yourself uh-oh.
Okay. Didn't need to scare us quite like that. That was interesting. But here comes Max Service to the inside of Scott Bailey.
And, well, a battle between the two championship competitors, not for position. Max Service unlaps himself to Bailey to put him 2 laps down to the 11, but still has to chase down Adrian to unlap himself to 2 down.
Looks like 2.9 laps down.
2.9, yep.
Meanwhile, there's Reese Schaefer on the inside of Scott Bailey. That's actually going to help Max's effort, minutely, but it'll help the cause at least, as there goes the 17 down to the bottom side of the racetrack. And really, Scott Bailey only has to get to lap, 298, 299?
Yeah. Barring any overtime, absolutely.
So all he has to do is keep this car in one piece. And, I know we're kind of looking for the different caveats and the different kind of technicalities here, but quite frankly, for Scott Bailey, throughout the course of a 36-race season, that's not easy to make it to the Final Four. It doesn't matter the level of drivers. It doesn't matter how you perform in the previous 35 races. If you are in the 36th race as a championship competitor, you've done something right. And he got that race win so importantly at Atlanta Motor Speedway a few weeks ago and put himself in this race before any other driver could say they had done the same. He even mentioned at the top of the show this evening, he feels like he's gotten faster. He absolutely has. He's got the fastest lap of the race even now, as we're on lap 282 of 300. Scott Bailey has done a lot of things right this season. He's flown under the radar, but still a very worthy champion so long as he makes the next 17 laps.
And, for Scott Bailey, he is still, one of the cleanest drivers in the series. And I know there's a lot to be said about what happened tonight, but all in all, Scott Bailey, he's kept his nose clean. He's driven this race. He's driven this season without really any points to make negatively of him. He's fought tooth and nail. He was one of those drivers I expected to get a win this season along with Jacob Reeves. Reeves will not because, he doesn't have a win coming into today and didn't race tonight. But Scott Bailey was another one of those drivers. It was going to be who was the next outside of the big six to win a race on the season. It was Scott Bailey at the most important time, and he's driven this race pretty much as he's needed to. He was struggling early. He didn't panic. He adjusted on the car. He kept himself calm. He kept himself on the lead lap and in position should anything have happened to his competitors, and he was there to take advantage of it. And rightfully so, Andrew. It's been a 10-month-long season, and no matter how you spin the final race, still a driver who rightfully should be here and had a 25% chance at the title, just like any other Championship 4 driver.
Well, there you go. Scott Bailey currently running third on the racetrack. He's got 13 seconds back to Jeremiah Stutzman, but only 14 laps to go once Schumacher takes this trip by the start-finish line. Max Service, by the way, has gone on by Schumacher and unlapped himself to now only be 2 laps down. 2 cautions I feel like is technically possible. I don't think we're going to see that, but Max Service technically not out of it just yet as he tries to run these guys down. I could see by the end of this, if he's got the, well, I was going to say, if he's got the car perfectly tuned at this point, maybe he makes another lap back, but that is not the case. He's running only 3/10, 4/10 faster than Schumacher. The math is not going to work out on that one, unfortunately, but he will get by Jeremiah Stutzman here soon, it looks like, as Stutzman works through turn 4. And how about Stutzman, by the way, just trucking on? All of these drivers in this race still trucking on to this point. Props to them all, but especially Stutzman, who I think pretty sourly was eliminated from the round of 8. Just a really rough ending to the season for himself. He kept going. He's still in this race. He's not giving up.
And, you know, that's, I think, what Stutzman prides himself on. Max is making another pit stop here. But Stutzman, again, one of the admins here, and a driver who, I mean, he fights it out all the time. He you know, could have been easily saying at Atlanta or last week that, you know, his chances to advance were done, but he still fights it through, and he's here to run every lap. And I think that's what Stutzman prides himself on. He finishes these races no matter how hard the going gets.
Stutzman currently in the 4th spot. Unfortunately, no laps led for himself this evening, as Max Service actually has just pitted again and is now 4 laps down. So I'm not sure if he's just trying to avoid the worn tires at this point, just trying to make sure he has a pleasant run to the end or what, Emerson, but we're 6 laps from officially saying that we have a 2022 Outlaws Sim Series champion.
Yeah, you know what, Max run that line that maybe he's going for fastest lap just to put some sort of positive spin on today for himself, and maybe that's what he's doing. Maybe we'll see a hot lap out of Max.
Max Service at a turn number 2. Feels like qualifying all over again, as he's going to dive to the inside of turn 3. Hugging that inside yellow line and up out of turn 4. Is it a purple lap this time or next time? To the start-finish line there for Max Service, it is a 22.190. That is only... Well, actually, so what's interesting is his fastest lap is actually still faster than that. His fastest lap is only 3/1000ths of a second behind Scott Bailey's. So maybe that's what Max Service is currently going for. I didn't quite realize how close they were lap times previously. That lap, though, a 22.6, 5/10ths the wrong direction.
Maybe we'll see one more stop out of Max before this one's over, too, just to have another crack at it. But for Max to tough it out here and, you know, see that, you know, especially at the caution. Oh, he's going to go around trying to hot lap it and trying to make an effort to keep it off the wall, but he'll hit it.
He will continue on, and now the 5th position. But Adrian Schumacher is your race leader now with just 5 laps to go. And into turn number 1. An interesting season it's been. I know he really got this season going in race 2 way back at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Got that race win, didn't he, Emerson?
Yeah, and then, you know, he's been on from there. You raced the next 2 times Adrian won in this Outlaw Sim Series at Laguna Seca, where he led every single lap. I remember you tried to take one of those laps away, and he still was too fast. And then at the Charlotte Roval, I believe, or
yeah,
the Charlotte Roval where Adrian won. Adrian, he's been on it on these road courses, and for time and time again, you know, I say, well, Adrian, being a road course guy, you think his next best thing would be driver finesse tracks, Darlington, Gateway, tracks where, you know, it could be the driver to really make the difference. The driver does make the difference almost everywhere. But as opposed to a mile and a half where they're more cut and dry, cookie cutter, simple lift and apply the throttle again, this is more about the brake and racing line and about as close as you can get to a road course when it comes to oval racing. And Adrian, again, this besides that one win back in season 1 at Daytona by 2/1000ths over a second over Joshua McClune, where there was a massive last lap pile up and there was only 2 cars that escaped, himself in the 18, looking for that first oval win, and he's 1 lap away from doing so.
White flag is out on the entire 2022 Outlaws Sim Series season, brought to you by Whiplash Media Sim Cams. On the back straightaway here at Richmond, Virginia, Emerson, Adrian Schumacher is about to grab a win.
Out of turn number 4, Adrian Schumacher is gonna do it on an oval. He'll win at Richmond, but more importantly, behind, and he's gonna come down to pit lane, the 11 of Scott Bailey. He's gonna soak it in, and he's gonna come to the start-finish line, and we'll wait for it to officially happen. But Scott Bailey is your 2022 Outlaws Sim Series champion.
Congratulations to Scott Bailey. I know this is going to feel like a gut punch, I think, for everybody involved, but still so deserving. Putting a season together, not faltering, showing up to the final race, and not getting involved in any kind of mess. I know Seth Berger maybe couldn't have controlled it, but not getting involved in any kind of mess. And Scott Bailey goes home this evening with third place in the race, but most importantly for himself, a championship.
Oh, this is signature for Adrian, Andrew. Oh no, he's destroyed the tire. But Adrian will throw it into reverse and just do a burnout and slam it into the outside wall. Seth Berger making his statement on the front straightaway. Also just celebrate finishing off the season. But Andrew, I think it's maybe a strong statement what Scott Bailey's making, winning the title and not partaking in at least any apparent celebration. Stutzman just happy to finish the season.
Sometimes there's not much more you can add with words. We'll say congratulations once more to Adrian Schumacher. The circumstances are some of the wildest I think I've ever seen, but congratulations certainly to him. Stutzman does some celebration of just getting through the season, and Scott Bailey parks it in pit lane. No celebration necessary for him, as Berger does a Polish victory lap this evening at Richmond Raceway.
Again, making himself heard loud and clear. Yeah, I mean, that is that. If, feels he should be celebrating with Adrian to be on the same level, you know, where there should be maybe a championship for Seth Berger in his mind, and there's few that are gonna disagree.
With 300 laps of racing in the books, though, Emerson, let's go ahead and take a look at our unofficial race results. I know we've officially at this point crowned Scott Bailey the champion, but this is still technically all unofficial. So, out front, Adrian Schumacher with the race win by 4.7 seconds over Reese Schaefer. 18 seconds back to Scott Bailey, who pits on the final lap, but hangs on to the third spot over Jeremiah Stutzman. Max Service goes fifth.
And those are the drivers that were able to finish. Joshua Balliet, I think, was looking like, even before all the drama, Andrew, probably the odds-on favorite to win tonight, just with the way the race is playing out. Seth Berger is making his voice loud and clear out on the track right now. He will finish 7th and what will be 3rd in the title fight. Kevin Powell will finish in the 8th position. Andrew St. Coeur calls it a day early, finishes 9th. And Joseph Kazi, who also led a good bit early, he will finish in the 10th position.
Finishing 11th this evening, you'll find Seth Fitzpatrick in car number 2. 12th is Jonathan Jennings. 13th, Devin Smith. And props to Adam Gardner this evening. Had to go through race control, and certainly do appreciate his efforts all season long. Emerson, we do have a race winner after all of that. Adrian Schumacher ends up leading there at the end, wins this evening at Richmond, and I'm sure he's pretty excited to finally get it done on an oval.
Absolutely, Adrian. I promise I didn't say anything, and I think it helped. You were able to finish this race out. You got it done. You led 47 laps, Adrian. But you get it done on an oval, man. How about it?
Gotcha.
I know. Go for it.
As I know, I was the fastest car on the track and with events, but I don't know what to say.
Well, nonetheless, Adrian, you did the entire 300 lap race, and you were the first to the finish line at the end of it. A deserving win to kind of cap off the season. I know you, would have much more preferred to make the championship 4, but is this kind of, make it a little bit better to kind of end the season on this note?
Yeah, definitely. Getting a win at an oval after all the learning and all the all that stuff really brings my confidence up for next season and other leagues.
Absolutely, Adrian. And well, Adrian, you now tie, because I actually did the counting wrong earlier on the broadcast. You had 4 wins on the season. You tie now to be the most winningest driver on the season. I know most of those were on road courses, but that's also got to count for a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Adrian, a deserving race victory. You toughed it out. You fought it through to the end. You get it done here at the Richmond Raceway. Again, a high-speed 3/4 mile short track. I think we've been waiting for this for a while. We've seen it coming, and you're very deserving of it, Adrian. Congratulations on the win, man.
Thanks, guys. I'd like to thank Lakeside Marine for sponsoring the car this race. Shout out to them.
Well, there it is. Race winner. There it is. Race winner, Adrian Schumacher, driver of the number 82. And winningest driver on the season, Andrew. Tie for that.
A deserving 5th win for Adrian this evening. 47 laps led to his name, but let's go ahead and bring in Reese Schaefer, who, well, actually, I got to look for Reese Schaefer. I saw Reese for a moment. Maybe he's not. Yeah, I do see Reese.
He's there.
Well, let's grab Reese this evening. We'll grab him. We're going to talk to a lot of drivers, I have a feeling. But let's grab Reese and see how he's feeling after 300 laps. Reese, definitely one of the wildest races we've ever seen. How can you wrap this up from your perspective?
I don't know. I was just racing around and everyone was wrecking. That's basically what I saw. It was definitely an interesting race. The car was okay. I don't know. I really felt that my short run was pretty good, but then once I get to about I'd say 20 plus, it really started to fall off, and really by the end it was just about every middle of the corner I was really tight. So it's just struggle with that all night, but got to finish second, so we'll take it, I guess.
And obviously, you acknowledge there's a whole lot going on around you. You just keep your head down, put the blinders on, and run to the finish. How do you do that as a driver when everything else is happening, all that drama? Humans are attracted to drama. How do you ignore all that?
You just, I feel like you understand that the times when you should be really focused and the times you're not. Like, when I'm in the run not by anyone, I'll chat with the guys or just listen to what's going on. But we're kind of the end there, when Adrian was putting the pressure on me, stay quiet, just focus in, and he was, I don't know, for him, dude, he was so fast in the long run all night, and I got ahead of him at the pit stop, and I was like, I might have a chance, but then he just got by and said exit was left and just left me. So
well, Reese, you go and get an appropriate 17 laps led this evening, finish second, and just put on a nice show. Congratulations to the top 2, and hopefully we see more of you in future seasons.
Appreciate it, boss. Have a good night.
Reese Schaefer, always a good guy to talk to here after a race like that. Let's grab Scott Bailey Emerson. This, unbelievably, is your 2022 Outlaws Sim Series champion.
That it is, Andrew. Driver of the number 11 for Last Chance Racing. Reason to be excited. Reason to be happy tonight, Scott. You get your 7th top 5 on the season, your 15th top 10. But more importantly, it is the Outlaws Sim Series Championship, Scott. A lot went down tonight, we know. but you toughed it out through 300 laps, and you were there running at the end. Tell us about it.
Yeah, I mean, first run, first couple runs, it was shaping up to be a really good battle. We all were close together there. Just to start, just kind of feeling each other out, see what everybody was going to have. Pit strategy was going to definitely play a role because everybody was on slightly different pit strategies. So I was really excited to how this race was going to shape up. It's unfortunate what happened. I mean, I stuck with it, and I mean, it's a championship. I'm really happy about it. It loses a little bit of luster just because, I mean, we're not doing this for money. We're doing this for bragging rights. So you can't really brag too much when two people got taken out. So, I mean, yeah, I stuck with it, and it was a hell of a season, and I had a blast all year long. But I'm happy to be champion. But like I said, it comes with a bittersweet taste.
And absolutely, and I know you were down that Discord. I obviously we could tell tempers were running high, and whether you were participating in conversation or you were just trying to focus, what was that like for you in the Discord? What did you hear, and how, and if you were trying to block it out, how well were you at doing that?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I was focused on myself. I didn't even really know what happened to Jennings. You know, obviously, at the end of the day, I think this was all preventable. You know, when you let somebody that is fast but a known aggressive driver come into a championship race after not racing for 6 months, and his front bumper is ultimately who takes out the leader, and in my opinion was the favorite. You open yourself up to stuff like that, and I think it was definitely preventable. It is what it is. I don't think any of us wanted it to end that way, but that's ultimately what happened.
Absolutely. But Scott, I know I asked you before, but now that you've done it, I know there's the sour note to tonight's race, but it was still a 10-month-long season. 38 weeks of racing, 39 now. I mean, what does it mean to you, the body of work, to get to this point? And I mean, just like any other at the Championship 4, you had a 25% chance to win it, and you did.
Honestly, it's been a grind. It's been a blast. Had a lot of fun racing with all these guys. It's just some validation, you know, that the hard work that put in paid off. So I appreciate everything, you know, Adam's done to put this thing on, everything you guys do to, you know, put a show together, and I'm just glad to be a part of it. And man, I backed myself into a championship just by being there every week, you know, by running consistent, and then, you know, I got a win when I needed it, and everything just kind of unfolded how it did tonight. So I'll take it.
Well, there you are, the 2022 Outlaws Sim Series champion, Scott Bailey, to tough it out, finish out this long, grueling, endurance-like feel race, to put a bow tie on the 36 race season. Still showed a lot in you. And you led 23 laps, and you finished on the podium in the race overall. A lot to be happy about. Congratulations on the championship. I say you should still celebrate it, because you fought just as hard as anyone else to get to this point, and hopefully we see you back next season, man.
Yeah, appreciate it, guys. Have a good night.
There you go. Scott
There it
Bailey
is.
wraps things up after a full season, and Emerson, definitely good to get his side, I think, of everything that transpired this evening.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I think it's good to be, you know, self-aware of what happened, but I don't think you should put himself down in any way, because he didn't get into any drama with anyone all season. He, you know, prevented himself from ever being in a scenario like what happened tonight by keeping himself clean all night, all season, which is hard to do over 36 weeks. I think, anyone can make their opinion on what happened. He is just as deserving as a champion as any other of the championship 4 would have been tonight.
Well, with Scott Bailey talked to, I think there's just really 2 more to go ahead and grab. I guess, should we go Max Service first, Seth Berger after?
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah, let's go with second in the championship.
Well, I know it's definitely not the way he wanted to take second place this evening. Certainly not the way anybody wanted the evening to go. But Max Service, second place in the championship, 5th place on the track. I guess, first of all, just try and sum up the whole night if you can.
It started off at the end of practice. We were struggling for some drive off just a little bit. So I made a tweak going into the race. I'm like, let's get some more drive off. That was the worst mistake ever because this thing stopped turning after about 20 laps and would just go straight. If I had left it, I think we hold them all off. I think we had the best car, but I made that change and I screwed it up. So it is what it is. Probably should have been 4th tonight, quite honestly, but there was a lot that went on. Just a lot of chaos tonight, really. I don't even know what to say. It kind of left me speechless.
Yeah, it's difficult for sure, really, for any of us to kind of comprehend what transpired. But, as far as the drama, I mean, we can't not talk about it, really. What did you see from your perspective? Did you see anything on track, and how did it affect your race?
I didn't see any of the Kazi Jennings incident. I've looked back on it. It looks like just a miscommunication, really, of Jennings trying to defend the spot and Kazi trying to go for it. Just they both made contact there, and then from there it was on. I got screwed with a little bit in the race. Not like there was much point of them trying to screw with me. I was so far off the pace, I was a non-factor, so that was a waste of time for them. But and then obviously I was right behind them when Seth was backwards against the wall while he was leading the championship. That was unfortunate. And that knocked us down to 2 Final 4 competitors remaining. And I was stuck a lap down, and the car was, quite honestly, horrible. So I wasn't going to do anything to catch Scott, and I wasn't going to do anything to Scott. We were not going to... Our message into the race at Swift Racing was, don't screw with the other cars. And, well, I can't say that's what happened. It wasn't intentional on our part. That was not our intentions. And it kind of cost us, unfortunately. But that's kind of how these things go. Congratulations to Scott for winning the championship. He didn't do anything wrong today. He did everything perfectly, and he won. Congrats to my fellow Championship 4 competitors, Jonathan Jennings and Seth Berger as well. They did great all season. Just unfortunate circumstances had them not running at the end. Huge shout out to Pit Stop TV for putting this all together. I know probably this broadcast didn't go how you guys want it to, and I know it didn't go as well as Adam wanted to. He deals with a lot putting this league together, and I can't thank him enough for putting this league together and dealing with all this stuff. But we love him to death. We love racing the Outlaws Sim Series here at Swift Racing, and I can't thank him enough.
Well, Max, thanks so much for your time, and I'll leave it there. Don't need to rub anything in further. Genuinely, thanks for your time after a rough night like that.
Yeah, no problem. Hopefully we can do it again next year.
There you go, Max Service. I think a pretty good outlook after wrapping things up for his season. Definitely not an easy way to do so, but a pretty darn good talk.
Absolutely, and if there's some person if there's one person who's gonna spin anything into a decent outlook, it was gonna be Max. Always a great attitude to come into these races, and even though it's obviously frustrating to even run the way he did, I mean, to come and talk to us in a calm manner says a lot.
Well, that said, Emerson, Seth Berger, one more time, is in the interview waiting booth. Let's grab him.
And driver of the number 77, Seth Berger. Obviously, we spoke to you after the incident. You made your voice loud and clear, and you did it again after the race, making your voice loud and clear, Seth. I know, obviously, it's very frustrating, and I think not many people will disagree with how you phrased it and then what you did after the race. But all in all, you still got to the championship for a third consecutive season. And it was still a great body of work to get to this point. How do you sum it up?
I think I did prove myself tonight. You know me on flat short tracks. I really hate them. These pedals did help me, obviously, clearly. I won the championship. I won the championship fair and square, and I'm going to keep saying it like that. But for me to rise to the occasion at Richmond, of all places, I think showed why I've never missed a Final Four appearance on iRacing, let alone Outlaws Sim Series. So yeah, I'm proud of the effort today. Shout out to Max. He did a great job with the setup. I think he threw an adjustment that didn't suit him well. But yeah, it was a great season. It's awesome to get this championship. I want to shout out you guys for a great broadcast, and obviously Adam Gardner. I met him on the PlayStation 4 racing NASCAR. So I'm glad I met him in a public lobby, and it brought me to iRacing and opened a lot more opportunities.
Oh, my bad. But absolutely, Seth. And this, no matter how tonight went, it was still a great season overall. That being said, how does this feel for next season?
I'm gonna take a break from even thinking about Outlaws. I hated how long the races were this season, but I've already talked to Adam. Sounds like there's gonna be some changes made. Shorter races. It's gonna be a different vehicle. I'm excited to see what different vehicle it is. He gave me a couple hints at what it might be. So I'll be back next season. I'm looking forward to next season, especially with not having any clowns in next season. I know that they're not going to be back, so that'll be good. Outlaws should be fun again.
Well, there it is. Driver of the number 77 will finish 7th on the race tonight with 32 laps. Finishes 3rd in the point standings, but has made his voice loud and clear. The Outlaws Sim Series Championship, in his eyes, is his.
Yeah, thank you. Just want to shout out Bergarts. Obviously, check it out. I know I said if I won the championship officially, I was going to do a giveaway on the hat, and I won the championship, so there probably will be a giveaway. So stay tuned on that. I checked the comments. There weren't any entries, so still up for grabs. I'm going to change the rules on it. I want to shout out Flood Brothers, Bill Flood. Really appreciated the support this season. Shout out to Full Force Heating and Air. My Uncle Jim owns that company, so I work for him. He does awesome work, really great price in the Chicagoland area, along with Flood Brothers. And shout out to Superior One. I recently employed there, and I love what I do. I learn a lot there. Want to shout out Trans Depot for all the transmission needs you need for any car. And again, shout out to you guys and all of Swift Racing and EWRL.
There it is. Driver of number 77, Seth Berger. His thoughts on the season.
Well, 2022 comes to a close officially in about 10 more days, but for the Outlaws Sim Series, we've finally put a bow on it, and just in time for Christmas as well. Just a weird season, a great season, I think, really, for 35 races.
100%.
It's unfortunate. I think unfortunate that it ends this way, but I think my Andrew Cardinale IV kind of message to take from this is, if you're Scott Bailey, don't let this take away from it. I think Scott Bailey showed pretty evidently with that fastest lap that he still could have raced this race this race, and a late race restart or something taken that win away. Had the race gone as it maybe should have without deliberate attempts at crashing. If you're Seth Berger, I think really he's already got a decent mentality. There's not a whole lot else to say on that, unfortunately. And if you're anybody else, I really don't know what to say. It's such a weird way for the season to come to a close. I guess what I can say is thank you again to Adam Gardner, Devin Smith, Jeremiah Sussman, and everybody else with this Outlaws Sim series, because it is fantastic. It is a fantastic series. Has the groundwork laid out to be so much better than this race unfortunately was because of the actions of the few. So it's so difficult after a race like that, Emerson, to not sit back and kind of dwell on what we've seen this evening. But hopefully it's done and dusted, over with, and just something to move on from.
Yeah, absolutely. Regardless of how tonight went, this was still a phenomenal season. I know there's a lot of people. The races were long. The car count was dwindling towards the end, but we still have people who showed up every single week to do this, week in and week out, for basically the entire year of a commitment. And it's because this is a great league. It's a great series Adam has put together. For the most part, for what we fought, it's a great group of guys, and for what we have left, it still is. Phenomenal racing, great stuff. Again, it says a lot. It speaks volumes that the number of cautions for the Outlaws Sim Series this season might rival the number of races.
Even at a race like tonight, we only had one.
Exactly. It's a very, very clean league. Don't let tonight get it twisted. A lot of fun. This has been my personal project since I came on board in 2018 to broadcast it. And then I was able to bring it to Pit Stop last year. It's just skyrocketed ever since. From the console back in 2018 to going to iRacing during 2020 to bring it to life here at Pit Stop the past 2 seasons. Myself personally, I'm proud of the product. I'm proud of what Adam, Dev, and Jeremiah have been as admins, the previous admins. Proud of all the drivers that show up every single week. Because it's been a lot of fun, and it still is. The Outlaw Sim Series, they're, again, no end in sight. It's going to continue on and prosper. Tonight, maybe just a little bit of a dark splotch on it, but overall, for 36 races, it was a great season. Scott Bailey is, the champion and well-deserving of it.
Well, for us at Pit Stop TV, thanks so much for watching this evening. This is definitely a difficult way to close up a season, but let's talk about some upcoming broadcasts here on the channel. The next 2 shows that you'll see from Pit Stop TV, at least as of now, we're trying to add some more. So, on that tangent, if you are looking to get a holiday event broadcast on Pit Stop TV, contact us. Pit Stop TV on any of the social media links you see down below. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, even Twitch. Contact us. Get in touch. Let's make something happen. Let's cover a holiday race. Otherwise, what you're going to see next on Pit Stop TV is Monday, December 26th, the day after Christmas. I believe it's Boxing Day for Canada. So Max and Andrew, we see you guys. But yeah, it'll be Pain Built Legends, which is the Advanced Legends Cup on iRacing. It's an official series race. That means any of you guys out there watching could potentially run it. It's at Atlanta Motor Speedway in the C-Class Legends Series, the Advanced Legends Cup, put on by Pain Built Legends. So, at least brought to you on Pit Stop TV by Pain Built Legends. Thanks so much to Tyler Payne and everybody at PBL and EPI for allowing us to cover these races, to bring us in to cover these races. It really is a treat, and we really do appreciate it. And that'll actually be the next 2 races, the next 2 broadcasts you see here on the channel. Atlanta Motor Speedway next week, then Hickory Motor Speedway, which is 15 minutes down the road from me personally, so that's pretty cool that we'll have Hickory on the channel. And then, the first Thursday of the new year in 2023, we will see Interlagos in Brazil for the North American Racing League round number 4 for their young season. I say young season, round 4, but that's really the mid-season for them, Emerson. Getting into that mid-season grind, we're going to learn a whole lot about who's going to win the championship more than likely in that round alone, as it's only an 8-race season. So round 4 of 8 is right in that mid-season spot. Really, we're getting the picture of who's going to win already.
Absolutely. To this point in the North American Race League, it has been wild. We had the opening lap crash at Road America, and then over the past 2 weeks, following a massive GT3 update, there's been a lot of mistakes that we haven't seen normally. A lot of drivers learning the car, and I think these off weeks are going to help a lot. And we are setting up for a great show down in Brazil in a couple weeks' time for the North American Race League 4th round of the season. But of course, you can keep up with all of these series here on Pit Stop TV. Any updates we have about anything, check out our socials. Our Facebook page at facebook.com/pitstoptv. Our Instagram at pit_stop_TV. Our Twitter at pitstoptv_. We're live on Twitch tonight at twitch.tv/pit_stop_TV. And our YouTube channel, of course, at youtube.com/c/pitstoptv1. And if anybody is watching from the Outlaws YouTube or the Outlaws Facebook page, do not hesitate to come by and check out the Pit Stop socials. Come, drop a like, a follow, a sub, and see what it's all about here. Join us for some other races here on the channel as well during the Outlaws off season. And yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
Emerson, once again, thanks for having me along for these Outlaws races towards the end of the season. I know tonight was difficult to get through, but you're a champ for doing so. I know you've got a lot of personal feelings on the line with this series, and hey, we got through another season, and I think better things are on the horizon for sure. A big thank you to our partners here at Pit Stop TV that allow us to do these broadcasts. I know tonight was a detour maybe from normal programming, if you will, but Whiplash Media Simcams, simrepmarket.com, and Permanent Makeup and Cryo in Maine are such fantastic partners here on the channel, and we always appreciate their efforts and their support. Unwavering, week in, week out, month in, month out, and year in, year out as we get ready to close 2022. If you don't hear our voices, if we don't see you in the chat between now and 2023, happy holidays. However you celebrate, do so safely. We really do want to see all of you in 2023, hopefully for more and more broadcasts. As many broadcasts as you can stand to listen to us for. We certainly do appreciate all of you guys that are out there watching. The viewers make Pit Stop TV, and we recognize that. So thank you so much for being here. Happy holidays to all, and we will hopefully see you all on the far side of just 10 more short days in 2022. 2023 is coming up. It's a big year coming up for us as well. Wow, that's a lot of talking. Once again, thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next year.